What's going on? Jim remembered for the first time in the history of Jon and Jim that the Aztec Coaches Show airs tonight. It'll be with Sean Lewis, myself, and Rich Ornberger.
Maybe that's a good omen for the Sean Lewis era.
Honestly, it could be because me and Brent had spent a lot of time earlier saying there's no chance in hell. We know he wrote it down in the rundown about the Sean Lewis show. We're like, yeah, but he doesn't really read, and he just does it on the fly.
Really
and so, but you completely redeemed yourself.
Right there, buddy. Thursday, Sean Lewis show with John and Rich, Coach Lewis, starting at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. tonight. Sean Lewis, head coach of the Aztecs.
Dude.
48 hours out. We have Aztec tickets to give away. Honestly, I'm so proud of you. Like, this is something I never would have expected from you. I know you wrote it in there, but I really didn't expect you to remember to read it.
You almost fell out of your chair.
I seriously did. I was kind of looking at Brent with one eye. I'm like, he's not going to mention it. And then you started talking about Saturday, and I'm like, he might. And then
he's going to mention the beginning of the Sean Lewis era, and then he's just going to gloss right over the coaches show.
Right
over. You remembered.
I remember.
Congratulations. Here's what we're going to do. We're giving away Aztec tickets today for Saturday. Be listening. We have other great giveaways today. Def Leppard tickets to see Pink as well. So be listening. Tons of great giveaways. Now, the last time we were on the air, Jim, it's amazing what one day can do. We were talking about a Padres team looking at maybe a 5-2, 6-1 road trip. They started 2-0. They were only 3 games out in the division. They'd gained a game on Arizona and LA, and then they lose last night, and then they lose today. And the Dodgers won yesterday. The Diamondbacks won yesterday. And all of a sudden you look at the standings, and you went from 3 games out to what are they, 4.5 games out right now behind the Dodgers? Have the Dodgers played today or the Diamondbacks?
Diamondbacks just lost to the Mets, so that's a good thing.
So 1 game behind Arizona.
1 game behind Arizona, and then they are 4.5 back of LA, with LA plays tonight, I want to say. Do they play tonight? They do. They play tonight at 7:10 against the Orioles.
See, okay. And we had this conversation about a week ago.
So this could be 5.
Dodgers at 7:10.
7:10.
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. 7:10.
7:10?
Okay. Here's what I was going to say, though.
Just double checking.
This is going to be hard. We said this a week ago. Then they pulled you within 3. I still said it at 3. When you do the math on it, it was always going to be hard. I'm not going to go sell you on the idea that, hey, root for the Dodgers all weekend in Arizona, and here's why. But I would say this. It's not – what's more likely, to pass Arizona or to pass LA? You have to ask yourself that question right now. And if the answer is Arizona over LA, it's not the worst thing in the world if you get something like a split of that Diamondback series, because that means the Diamondbacks win a couple, but they lose a couple. Same thing with LA. It feels like that division – again, it's not impossible, but you're trying to thread a needle, and you're going to have to play like 850 baseball. And, Jim, they're 7-7 to begin this 18-game stretch. Are they really going to play 850 baseball over the next 25 games?
Yeah, we'll worry about the 4-game series when the 4-game series happens with Arizona and LA.
It's now, right? Tomorrow?
It's tomorrow, but right now is what the Padres are doing, which is they're 7-7 in the last 14 games. The offense went completely no-show the last two days, going 1 for 15 with runners in scoring positions. Xander Bogaerts has reverted back to the pre-IL return Xander Bogaerts, where he has no power. He has a 600 OPS. Tyler Wade is a waste of a player. I mean, I don't know why he's on this roster.
Hey, hold on. They're still 26-10 in their last 36 games.
Well, they're 7-7.
Bogaerts has no value.
I didn't say that.
But, I mean, waste of a player, I think it's a little far.
Well, okay, fine. I'll rein it back.
It's a little far.
Tyler Wade shouldn't be on this roster.
I think that's also a little far.
Okay, I'll rein it back. Mason McCoy's better than Tyler Wade.
That's fine. And that's great. And neither will be on it. I mean, one of them's not going to be on the roster tomorrow.
Big error today that cost 2 unearned runs against Michael King.
Okay, and that's the reason why he shouldn't be on the team.
Well,
I mean,
he hasn't had a hit in his stint when he's been out there.
But Schill absolutely loves him
on the IL. That's great.
So, I mean, that's okay. So if our takeaway is they split the series against St. Louis and everything is reverted back to the way it was previously.
I didn't say that.
Well, you're going down that path.
No, you're putting words in my mouth. What I'm saying,
you're going down that path. No, I didn't put words in your mouth on Tyler Wade.
You didn't put words. No, absolutely not.
I definitely
didn't. I didn't say they're reverting back to their like pre-run. What I'm saying is they've gone through a tough stretch here, 7-7, and the offense the last 2 days has been really bad.
Yes, and they're playing 18 consecutive games, and it's 100 degrees out, and they were never playing 750 baseball to close, as we've repeatedly said. And Jurickson Profar was never going to be a 900 OPS guy, as we've repeatedly said.
Didn't he and David Peralta go over 24 in this series? I think
well,
so.
Profar didn't have a hit.
I don't think David Peralta had a hit.
So, okay, but listen, this is one series on the road where they went 2-2. My larger takeaway is more applicable, which is like, are you going to win the division? And if you're not going to win the division, are you going to secure the top wildcard spot? Like that's where they are right now. They're a game behind Arizona. They're 4.5 games behind the LA Dodgers. I honestly don't think this is the worst thing in the world, splitting in St. Louis. I think they never play well in St. Louis. They won the first 2 games. You're hoping to win that series, but like you split in St. Louis. I mean, I really 7-7 to start the 18 games in 18 days. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. We said tread water, get into the postseason. What have they done? They've treaded water.
It's not the worst thing in the world, but also you're starting to see some trends like rear their ugly head and sneak back in here where you're like, oh, please don't turn into like a thing in September here. And that thing is the offense at times goes cold. There's players on this team that need to step up, and they have been struggling of late. Xander Bogaerts. There is a little bit of like the pitching side of it has been up and down for sure over the last 14 games. It hasn't been as solid as it was. Michael King has showed a little bumps. Now he had, his defense has been a problem behind him in his last couple starts because of the errors. A lot of unearned runs his last couple starts. Dylan Cease, we've talked about up and down. Joe Musgrove pitched fine last night, 6 innings, 3 runs. You take that every day. They're reverting a little bit back to up and down and up and down. And the stretch that they had where they went 22-6, it is hard to envision them pulling off another 22-6 stretch to win the division. You're right.
Always was. And honestly, with what you just said, the practical way to look at what's to come is that the worst case scenario here is you finish 3rd in the division, essentially, and then you're playing a road playoff series. What puts you in the best position not to finish 3rd in the division? And Arizona and LA are playing 4 games over 4 days beginning tomorrow. And I know it's very easy to be like, I'll never root for LA. We've said that before, and I understand that point. I completely understand that point. I'm just saying it's not the worst thing in the world if Arizona comes back to Earth 2.
Well, they lost today.
So it's not the worst thing in the world if Arizona, you're 1 game behind Arizona, you're 4.5 games behind the Dodgers. So what's the advantage of Arizona taking 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers if you're not catching the Dodgers?
So are you just punting the division now?
I'm being realistic. You just said it. They're probably not going to win the division, right? You just said that?
I've also said, a week can change everything.
Yeah, it can. Sure, I guess. Yeah, you could be 9 games out at the end of the next week, or you could be, I guess, even as well at the end of the next week. But the math supports what I'm saying, which is you got to go 20-5 to have a chance to win the division, something like that.
Probably.
Because if they go 15-10, I'm just shooting from the hip.
And if you sweep this weekend, say you win 4 in a row, and the Dodgers get swept in Arizona.
Right. Say if that doesn't happen.
Okay, well,
because what are the odds of that?
Well, I'm saying that it could happen.
Sure, it could.
Anything could happen. I could win $1 million tomorrow.
But what's more likely, to catch the team you're a game behind, or catch the team you're 4.5 games behind that hasn't lost a division since the Reagan administration?
Well,
you know what I mean? Like they win every division. Okay, 1 year the Giants won 107 games. You get my point.
I think that the more important thing for this team is getting back to playing better baseball. They have played average baseball for the last 2 weeks. They have gone up and down, kind of reminiscent of what they did before their stretch of 22-6. And you have some players on this team that are really struggling offensively.
But they were never going to be. I've been prepared for this moment this whole time that they went 22-6, because there's no 22-6 team that then replicates 22-6. They were never going to finish 34 games under 500. They were always going to get to a spot and then kind of hold on to that. Anything else was a miracle finish. It was already the best run in the history of the franchise. They were going to take the best run in the history of the franchise and make it even better. This was always likely. This was always a possibility, if not a likelihood, that they were going to have a stretch in which, they played 500 baseball.
So now you have to really, truly worry about Atlanta because you're a game and a half up on Atlanta.
100%.
All right. You're a game back of Arizona. I don't know if this is updated.
It is.
It's updated. Okay. They're a game back of Arizona, and they are now five up on the Mets, which is a good amount. But at the same time, if we're going to sit here and say that the Dodgers are now unattainable to win the NL West, then I guess we should say the same thing about the Mets, that they're never going to catch the Padres.
No, not unattainable, but if you play 500 baseball, going back to our theory, you and I have both agreed on it. If they play 500 from here on out, are they going to get passed by the Mets?
I think I've been too positive lately. That's
well, I think you're I think you're doing a 180 based on 2 games.
Well, it's not just 2 games. It's actually the last 14 games.
They're 7-7. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. And in fact, there's 16 games over 500. It would be bad if they were 500.
But the last 14 games, you have to agree, they have not played good baseball.
They've been fine. They haven't played bad baseball. I'm sure there's been good in there and there's been bad in there. If they were 4-10, I would agree with you. But they're 7-7.
I didn't say they played bad. I've said they haven't played good.
Well, you kind of the last 2 days went down the path of it was horrific. And they lost 4-3 yesterday. I wouldn't call it bad yesterday.
Well, 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position is bad.
But you would have taken a win with 1 for 10 in scoring position, which they were 90 feet away from doing without a hit.
And when they lose, but
it's not as simple. It's not as simple as that. We can't say every single time they lose it's bad and every single time they win it's good. The point is the larger picture, which is you can go 500 from here on out and probably make the postseason because of the work they did when they went 22-6.
And that work, like you said, you're right. It will probably be the season.
Yes.
Like, other than that, maybe they are just a 500 team.
But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how is the play? The point is to get to where they're trying to go.
And you want to play good baseball heading into the postseason, theoretically, right?
Maybe, or you want to win the World Series once you get into the postseason. There's no direct correlation between going 10-0 in the last 10 games of the regular season and winning a World Series.
Well, I'm just saying, the last 14 games, to me, they have not played good baseball. Xander Bogaerts does not look good. Jake Cronenworth does not look good. Jurickson Profar hasn't looked good.
Yeah.
And the pitching staff has been... The starting pitching staff has been a little wonky.
Shoot, Robert Suarez has allowed runs in 5 of his last 7 outings, something like that.
Exactly.
But again, this is expectation over 162 that you come back to earth when you're playing out of your mind.
Okay, but that doesn't mean I can't sit here and still be concerned.
No, concerned is one thing, but I don't think there's reason for grave concern. I'm just trying to be the realist, which is now that we know who they are, they're 7-7 in their last 14 games. Do you think they're going to go 20-5 to finish and win the division? Or would you rather try to go be that top wildcard team and avoid playing Arizona on the road in the postseason, or playing potentially like the Phillies on the road as the 6th seed, or the Dodgers
I'm
on the
just
road as the 6th
upset that they
seed?
had a real opportunity to take 3 or 4 here and they squandered it the last 2 days. That's what.
Yeah, I think more yesterday. I guess today as well. I mean, yesterday was right there. You get the Higashioka home run. You think you're going to win the game because you're tied in the 9th inning. But the other team, it's not like it was like, oh my gosh, they blew a 4-run lead.
No, but they also went completely no-show for their offense the last 2 days after the first inning. After the first inning, they scored 2 runs after the first inning the last 2 games. The Jackson Merrill homer today, and then I think the Higgy homer the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And then going 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. You hope it's a fluke. You hope it's a one-off. But then you also look at the last 14 games and you're like, well, they're 7-7. So is it a fluke, or are they starting to revert back to just playing 500 baseball, which will get them in, but still, are they reverting back to that?
We'll hear from Mike Schilt on the other side. I do think it's an interesting conversation in terms of, can they still win this division? Like, are you banking on that, seeing how they're playing here 7-7 to Jim's point in the last 14 games? We'll hear from Mike Schilt on the other side. We have Aztec tickets to give away. We'll do that as well here today. We have a lot of great giveaways. We're here until 6 p.m. Padres fall in St. Louis. They're heading for Tampa Bay. It's Jon and Jim. All right, so Mike Schilt has spoken post-game. We'll hear from Mike Schilt coming up in a moment. Padres split St. Louis. They're going to Tampa. It's tricky. It was always a tricky little. I think we all signed up for 4-3, didn't we? On the road trip.
4-3. I think we did. We said
we did.
We would
start it.
We asked yesterday. Would you take 5-2? We both said hell yeah, we would. But,
right, but we signed up to start at 4-3, and
yeah.
they could still easily go 4-3 by winning 2 of the next 3 games in Tampa. Not a guarantee, but they're in position to go 4-3. We said the same thing last homestand. We should take 4-3. We said yes. Guess what they went? 4-3. So I don't think it's a reason to necessarily overreact, but I understand people are upset over the last 2 days. Opportunities to win. Certainly yesterday had an opportunity, didn't cash in the 9th inning. Robert Suarez walked off. They lose here today. So let's hear from Mike Schilt. Let's react to this. This is post-game after a series split in St. Louis.
Yeah, these don't have. I mean, those guys threw the ball pretty well. Overall, I just love the way our guys went about this whole series. Grit squad on display. You don't have to win to have heart. Do a consolation prize. These guys, they batted their tails off, man. These guys posted and gave us everything they had every day. And, tough environment a little bit, no excuses. But, took some good at-bats against Gray. Jackson took a swing on him. Had some opportunities, just couldn't cash in.
I'm assuming, even though you normalize and you guys have done a great job at that, the elements are a bit of the reason that you are pleased with the.
Yeah, I just can't discount it. I mean, again, we normalize regardless of circumstance, but also tip of the hat. These were extenuating circumstances. It was, the conditions were rough, and our guys, man, not one complaint. Effort level there, fight, desire, heart, just came out on the short end, but it's got to be appreciated, at least from my seat, the level of commitment these guys have.
How do you assess what King was able to do today under those conditions?
Yeah, Michael couldn't control as many counts as he probably would have liked. Wasn't able to, if he got ahead, he got behind. But stuff looked good. Made some pitches. They scratched early for 2 runs, and he did it. They had a lot of tough at bats, and they ran a pitch count up.
I know you guys look at a lot of different markers with him, but he's right over 150 innings this time of year. Like, what are you guys seeing from him in terms of how he compared to early in the season?
I see a guy looking like he has all year.
You kind of answered the question in regards to this series, but just in terms of the 14-14 that you played right now, where do you think your guys are, specifically your pitching staff, and how they've kind of managed to withstand all that?
Oh, what
the grind of 14-14 and the 4 more.
I think everybody's doing it, but I'll answer your question. Pitching staff. The guys take the ball every 5 days. They're conditioned for it. By the way, a lot of love for our guys and how they take care of themselves. Our strength and conditioning guys do a really, really good job with this group. Jay and Rio do a phenomenal job, but our players are the ones that have to put the work in and ready for these kind of stretches. What I love about this stretch is this group is embracing it and going after it. The pitchers, the starters take the ball every 5 days, so they've been getting after it too. But they do have a 4-day break. The relievers have been carrying the mail for sure, but we've been passing the ball around there. Again, the guys that they all deserve, credit for it in the 14 days, but those guys going out there posting every day, playing 9 innings or on the bases and doing all those things every day that are the ones that they're all getting after it. But those everyday guys carrying that lunch pail pretty darn well.
Yeah, back-to-back walks. There were quite a few pitches there. And is that a part also of what you looked at in the last few innings and said, these guys are battling? Merrill and Peralta.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, actually, the whole thing, if you're, everybody sees the game with different lens, right? So I've got my lens. That's all I can really refer to but yeah, that's exactly what I would see. The guys are deep counts, deep at bats, bat on their tail off. Again, effort level there. The couple walks. Peralta's bat was epic. Jackson's bat was great. The bats were good. We weren't able to get the big swing.
Do you have any clarity on the next step for you, Darvish? Whether it be rehab, where it might be?
He's going to, I don't think this is a state secret. He's going to Arizona. He flew today, and he's going to pitch in a simulated, controlled game for 4 innings.
I'm with Schilt. This is the best they've played all year. Tough conditions. It was 100 degrees. Got a split. World's still spinning. He liked the fight. Grit squad, he mentioned.
Oh, yeah.
The epic Peralta bat that everyone's been talking about all afternoon here locally.
Again, my take on Schilt is I don't like listening to when they lose, and when they win, everything's great. And hopefully they win more than they lose, because I just don't enjoy listening to those things when in the last 2 days you go 1 for 15 with runners in scoring position. You make a costly error today at short to cost the team 2 runs. David Peralta went 0 for in the series. Pitching was fine. Yes, the heat's a factor for sure. And I'm not going to, here's the Schulte term.
Normalize it?
I'm not going to alibi the
Okay.
heat in St. Louis at all. But again, you know, I don't know. You move on, I guess, but you have to start hoping that the trends that they have the last 14 games don't creep in and continue throughout the rest of September, and they can kind of not be this just average team for the rest of the year, even though it will get them in the postseason. And that's the only thing that matters. But the confidence going into the postseason, if you're playing like this, I don't know. It just was a bad last 2 days. That was it. It was a bad last 2 days. It's not been a great last 14 games. And there's some players on this team that are really struggling.
And they're 26-10 in their last 36. And if they win half of their games from here on out, they have 89 wins.
Okay.
If they win half the games from here on out, they have 89 wins.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's better than the alternative of wheels falling off, which is always a possibility. And then you're staring at trying to get into the postseason because of the schedule that we've talked about. So if they can keep chugging along, so to speak, splitting series, I think it'll be enough. But we'll see. We'll see if 89 games will be enough. I think it will be in 2024. All right. JD Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director, joins us on the other side when we'll also give away Aztec tickets for Saturday against Texas A&M Commerce. San Diego State's athletic director, JD Wicker, joins us next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Project Clean Water. Padres have a disappointing end to the Cardinals series as they lost again today. The Cardinals 4-1, splitting the 4-game set. They move on to Tampa for a 3-game series starting tomorrow afternoon against the Rays. Aztecs kick off their season this Saturday, 5 p.m. kickoff. Aztecs are going to host Texas A&M Commerce at Snapdragon Stadium, the first game in the Sean Lewis era. And speaking of Sean Lewis, tonight is the Coach's Show with Coach Lewis, John, and Rich, starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Want to keep our waterways clean and beautiful? Harsh chemicals from car washing can flow into storm drains, harming our waterways. Choose eco-friendly car washes that properly dispose of the water from suds to shores. Wash your car wisely. Visit projectcleanwater.org for details and tips how to make a difference.
All right, San Diego State Saturday night, back on the football field under Sean Lewis. The Aztec Fast era getting underway. We have a pair of tickets that we're going to give away after our conversation right now with San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker. We have 2 tickets. By the way, tickets are available right now for the opener. Single game, mini plan, season tickets available right now at goaztecs.com. San Diego State, Texas A&M Commerce. Remember, JD, I have to let you know this. I'm sure you know because you listen. I didn't do the Texas A&M pregnant pause commerce until you did it with us about a month or so ago.
He's so worried about that
because
because
become
I
a
told
big
him about
part of the
yesterday.
sports talk show. I'm not going to do it during the broadcast, but
Soft.
It's been a fun part of the show. But first of all, thanks for hopping on. How are you? I know it's a busy week.
Doing well. We're just getting prepped for some soccer tonight. Men's soccer plays Mercyhurst tonight, and then we've got football on Saturday. Women's soccer plays Saturday night up on the Sports Tech against Oklahoma State, and volleyball is headed to the Garden Spot of Idaho, Pocatello, for some of their first volleyball competition this weekend. So we're excited. I think cross country kicks off this weekend too.
All right, so very busy school year, athletic year underway. What can you tell Aztec fans about some of the new tailgating and pregame activities you're debuting here on Saturday? I know you've got the new River Park Block Party this year as well. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, really excited to have that area of the Mission Valley development open. The opportunity to tailgate on grass. I realized that forever in San Diego, it's been tailgate on pavement, but that can get kind of warm. It's a whole lot easier to play football and things, but throw the football around when you're not dodging cars. So, the River Park Block Party. You gotta have the opportunity to set up tents for tailgating. There's a company, Revel XP, that you can reserve a tailgate where they do everything for you. Set up the tent, bring the TV, the chairs, work with catering to get food. We'll have our Aztec Village kind of set up in there as well. Or if you want to bring your own tent, you have opportunity to, reserve a space closer to the yellow lot, closer to the stadium, or there's some spaces where you can go and set your tent up, and it's, you're on your own. So really excited about that new element of, Snapdragon. And it's more like a true college football experience. You're tailgating on grass. You go across the country. That's what you see on college campuses.
And for the game day experience with, Sean Lewis, new era of Aztec football here, Aztec Fast, is there anything new that fans could expect to see during the game to enhance the game day experience for the fans?
Yeah, I guess the one thing I forgot, the Warrior Walk will go through the River Park and then right down the middle of the yellow lot into the stadium. Yeah, I think the biggest thing for the game day experience is going to be, we're going to throw, the offense is going to look a whole lot different. It's going to be exciting. We're going to throw the ball down the field. So we're excited about that. It's going to be something that should keep people engaged and, give them a reason to, really celebrate the Aztecs.
J.D. Wicker, San Diego State's athletic director. He's with us right now on Jon and Jim. We've talked about this with you before, J.D., but the home schedule is really one of the better home schedules maybe in recent history for San Diego State football. Air Force is coming here as an academy. Oregon State and Washington State are both coming to San Diego this year. What do you want San Diegans and sports fans and Aztec supporters to know about what's going on at Snapdragon with Aztec football this season with the schedule?
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing to know is we've listened to the fans. We're going into our third season. What our fans have told us about pricing, concessions, benefits of being season ticket holders, those types of things. We've heard that and we've addressed that. The product on the field is going to be phenomenal this year. And then again, it is a good home schedule. We've got Texas A&M Commerce this weekend, which should be a good opportunity for the team to have, their first opportunity to hit somebody else. It's a whole new staff. It's a lot of new players. So hopefully we have a nice weekend this weekend, and then we go into Oregon State, next week. It's a great non-conference game for our fan base. And then, like you said, Washington State and Air Force. We've got Hawaii and New Mexico as well. So it's college football. It's going to be fun, exciting college football in what is the best college stadium in the country. As you look at, the amenities that come with Snapdragon Stadium, the weather's going to be great this weekend. So there's really no reason not to come try, Aztec football. If you're an Aztec alum, we really encourage you to come out and buy tickets and come support the student athletes in your institution.
And there's a giveaway Saturday, correct?
That's right.
What's the details on that?
I believe the first 10,000 people are getting a Hawaiian shirt at the Beach Bash.
All right. So
Bash.
first 10,000 fans getting a Hawaiian shirt. And again, tickets are available right now. GoAztecs.com. Saturday, 5 p.m. Like JD said, it'll be a spectacular day for football on the Mesa. It looks like, JD, and switching gears to some other sports as well, it looks like that NIL event in Las Vegas has been made official or is getting closer to being made official for men's basketball, that Players Era Festival. Is that kind of the future of where some of this is heading? I mean, what does that mean for San Diego State men's basketball specifically to have that money for the collective coming in? And is that where we're heading with some of the future of college athletics?
Yeah, it will continue to be interesting to see how NIL and potential revenue sharing and all of those different avenues play out. Today, this is the model. And so we're excited to be a part of the tournament, the MTE. We get three, if nothing else, comes of it, we get three very important RPI games. It's going to be a chance for us to, set ourselves apart. I was looking the other day, Joe Lunardi doesn't even have us in the field.
Yep.
John Rothstein has picked us fourth in the league. I mean, it's not like we've been to two straight Sweet 16. We played in the national title game a couple of years ago. It's like they don't pay attention to San Diego State. So that's going to give us an opportunity to really, make a name for San Diego State again this year. I don't know why we have to keep doing it, and we'll see. Next week on Thursday, Judge Wilkin up in the Bay Area is going to have a preliminary hearing about the House settlement. We don't expect her to rule from the bench on a preliminary approval, but we expect to get some indication of what she's thinking. And, as that House settlement continues to move through the process, it will, start to define what the next step is of, what we're going to do and how NIL is going to shape and how rev sharing is going to go and various other aspects of college athletics.
How much does the $1 million here for the NIL tournament mean to the NIL fund for San Diego State? Like, is this something that you want to try to be in as many times as you possibly can? Because $1 million is, it's $1 million.
Yeah, that's huge for our NIL collective. It's going to give them the freedom and flexibility to do a lot of things. So, yeah, we're always looking to, generate revenue for Mesa, and then Aztec Link right now has their challenge going on. I encourage people that runs through Saturday night, take a look at that and, be a part of, it allows you to truly be a part of the student athlete experience because you're contributing to their NIL. So really encourage you to take a look at what Aztec Link is doing, Mesa the same. And those are two basically volunteer organizations. Those are people that, because the athletics department can't necessarily be directly involved. So really appreciate what they're doing. So opportunities like this to bring revenue in for them is huge.
JD Wicker with us right now, San Diego State's athletic director. Again, the Aztecs taking on Texas A&M Commerce coming up Saturday at 5 p.m. at Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets at goaztecs.com. JD, with the expanded college football playoff, which is set, but it's only really set for a period of 2 years, what do you believe the future is going to look like? And you do believe that access will remain moving forward, right? For the group of five, which had fought for access. It is now here in 2024. It's going to remain, right?
That I would assume it would remain. Obviously, we're going to do all that we, need to do, have to do from a group of five standpoint to ensure that access remains. When we have 2 years left on the current contract, and then I guess what it would be the 26th season, a new version. So it could be a 14-game playoff at that point. With group of five continuing to hopefully keep one spot. I think obviously if we were pushed out of that in some way, I'd look to litigate to get back into it, but hopefully it won't come to that, and they'll recognize that the San Diego States, the Mountain West, the MAC, the Sun Belt, all of these conferences, that we're an important part of FBS, and we bring a lot to the table, and to have an opportunity to be a part of the playoff. And I guarantee you group of five is going to win some games in the playoff. It may just be a first round, but that's going to happen. That we deserve that seat at the table. And so my hope is, and people I talk to, that it's not going to be a question of us having access or not.
I said final question. I have one more. I always have questions. I could keep you really for 30 minutes or longer. Do you expect resolution on the Pac-12 scheduling alliance beyond 2024? As Aztec fans know, we just talked about it. You've got Washington State and Oregon State. There's been this alliance for 2024. We're a little bit up in the air for 2025. Is there resolution, or is that coming soon?
I think we'll have resolution, sooner rather than later. We've all got to move forward. It may stretch into mid to late September. We'll see how that goes.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot at play out there. You still got to figure out what's going to happen with the ACC, and, are Clemson and Florida State going to blow that up, which changes the dynamic for a lot of different schools, because if Clemson and Florida State can get out, then, North Carolina, Virginia, and, those 7 or 8 schools that had talked about wanting to get out, which then changes the calculus for Stanford and Cal. And I could go on for 30 minutes on this, John, but, we are very happy to have, Oregon State on our schedule this year. It would have been just Washington State. That's an actual non-conference game. We get the Oregon State game. And so, we hopefully have that next year. And that's $1 million to our budget. That's a huge number for us to get that additional $1 million that we wouldn't otherwise get. So my hope is that we're playing that game next year. It's on the schedule, and we've got all that figured out.
Really good insight. JD, we're excited. Truly are, obviously, the home of the Aztecs. Our pregame coverage begins at 3 from that brand new tailgating area, the Warrior Walk, 5 o'clock kick right here on San Diego Sports 760. We can't wait. Again, tickets are available right now. It's going to be a spectacular day. First 10,000 fans get Hawaiian shirts, San Diego State Hawaiian shirts. Tickets right now available at goaztecs.com for Saturday. JD, thank you. We'll see you this weekend. Always appreciate it.
Thanks, JD.
All right, guys, I appreciate it very much. And John, I'll have to come find you. I don't know where I'll find you now down in the for the pregame, but I look forward to seeing you down there.
I'm looking forward to it. Yes, they come to the booth. Call the game.
Yes, well, we don't want to go. We don't want to go too far. We want people to continue listening to the game. That's why we've hired you. And I'm just, I'll just hang out and watch.
I appreciate it, JD. We're looking forward to it. We'll see you this weekend. Thanks for taking the time. We know it's busy.
All right, appreciate it. Go Aztecs.
All right, caller 7, you're going to the game. 2 free tickets. Caller 7, you're going to the game. 877-767-4760. Caller 7, 2 free tickets. San Diego State, Texas A&M Commerce. Tickets at goaztecs.com. 877-767-4760. What's the timeline on Fernando Tatis Jr.? It's next. All right, so we've given away the Aztec tickets. We have Def Leppard tickets. We'll give away in the 4 o'clock hour. Chris Hodge taking Vegas back in the show at 4:30. He'll give away some free picks. College football week 1 is now underway on this Thursday night. And, of course, we have all kinds of action Saturday, including San Diego State, right here on San Diego Sports 760. I found it really interesting in Kevin Acey's article this morning, just news and notes on the Padres, that he discussed the idea of Fernando Tatis Jr. returning within the next week. That alone I didn't find interesting. I think we were kind of trending in that direction. The part that I found interesting was that he said that he may not go out on a rehab assignment. He may. It may be brief, but the workload appears to be trending towards him not needing or not having a rehab, which to me does surprise me. I mean, why wouldn't you? What's another day or two? He's missed months. Typically, months means you rehab. You do all this side work and then just get back to the big leagues. Why don't you just take the day and play in a game?
Because they want to get him back as fast as they possibly can.
And this is changing that? He's not back right now.
He's not back right now, but I think he's going to be back by next week.
So maybe he should be rehabbing now.
He should be. He's doing something. He's not just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah, but it's almost unheard of to miss 90 days or 60 plus days and not be on a rehab assignment.
It really is, especially.
I don't know the value of it, truthfully, but
especially
it's almost
because
unheard
he has not done a lot of baseball activities and he just started ramping up. I would hope that he gets at least like 2.
Yeah, a couple games. Again, what's at the end of the day, does it matter?
Get him like 8 at bats. Get him in the field, right field, and then you're back.
Yeah, I was just very surprised by it. I mean, hearing next week, I'm like, okay, great. That sounds awesome. Maybe he'll be rehabbing this weekend or early next week. And then they're like, you know what? He's getting a lot of work and he's participating in sim games and maybe they'll just activate him. I'm like, man, that's kind of putting a lot of trust in him being ready to rock and roll and fully like the thing there too is now you're asking someone to play 9 innings. Typically when you rehab, you can play 5 innings in your first game. You could play 7 innings in your second game. You're not doing that big leagues. They're not going to activate him to play 4 innings. He's going to have to play the entire game.
Yeah, it's going to be a 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah. And again, okay, if they're confident in that, that's fine. I'm just looking at his game logs. He has not played in the major leagues in forever. June 21st, and it will be September. So it's going to be like 75 days between games.
And maybe this is the spark that this team needs right now when Tatis gets back. During their stretch of 18-18, you know, they're probably sitting there thinking like, okay, we need some type of spark here because it's tough to play 18-18 is tough. And they got 4 more. They have the off day on Tuesday. I think Tatis will return sometime next week. I think I said the end of the week against the Giants at home is it's a nice day to circle. And this team needs another spark. That's just how it goes. Like you get a spark at the beginning of the season and this point of the season, it's you need multiple pick-me-ups throughout the year. And Tatis is definitely a pick-me-up here when he returns and hopefully he comes back and he hits the ground running because they can't afford to not have him play like he was playing before he went on the IL. Because you get that Tatis back, you feel pretty good. But if you get the Tatis back that struggles, that's not something you want to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of a big lift, so to speak, for someone to miss as much time as he's missed, not go on a rehab assignment, be plugged in every day in right field, and then be like an 850 OPS player. Now, maybe he doesn't have to be that from day one. Yu Darvish, of course, as a pitcher, is expected to make a rehab start in the upcoming week.
Well, you need to make rehab starts.
And it's not possible otherwise. So maybe Darvish is 10 days out. You make a rehab and then you're in the big leagues. Maybe it's 2 rehabs, but he's probably something like 10 days out. And it sounds like Tatis might be less. That's the great news. Like lost in all this in the short term, you lose 2 games. All right. You pull the aperture out. You're like, oh, Tatis is active next week and Yu Darvish is active within the next 10 days. Like those are both pretty encouraging signs, hopefully for the Padres for the true stretch run, the final 4 weeks of the regular season.
And just getting through this 18-18 has been not the easiest for sure. It's been ups and downs. And hopefully when they get that off day on Tuesday, they can maybe reset a little bit and play some better baseball. it is difficult going 18-18 for sure. And then when they reset after the off day, get Tatis back, maybe the next week they get Darvish back, they can make a little bit of a run towards the end of the year to make things interesting. That'd be nice. And also, by the way, play better baseball to go into the postseason with.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think there's some commentary out there. Like, again, in a dream scenario, of course, you're winning the division. Then you think about it from a realistic perspective. Well, it's going to be hard to win the division. So then the next best is you're the 4 seed. But if you're not the 4 seed, it starts getting really hairy. I don't care how you're playing. If you're the 5 seed going up a team that's outplayed you in the second half in Arizona, if that's the case, that is a tall order. That is a very tough series. If that were to play out, you're chasing Arizona all second half. You finish behind them. You're the 5 seed. You're playing a 3-game series against Arizona in the postseason for the right to move on. I know we said yesterday we like their chances against everyone, and I agree with that. But I'm telling you right now, that's not ideal. It's not. And they would be an underdog in the series. If they play a 3-game series in Arizona as the 5 seed, they'll be an underdog.
And this will not be like 2022, where they were the 5 seed. They went to New York. They beat the Mets, 100-plus win team, and they were on a roll, and they beat the Dodgers. It's different this year because the Diamondbacks theoretically would be playing better baseball than you, and they also would be playing good baseball. The Mets that year, they didn't collapse. They didn't collapse.
No, not at all.
But they also, sorry, I just got distracted there. They didn't collapse, but they also didn't celebrate. They had visions of winning the division. That didn't happen. They felt disappointed, and they felt like, oh, why are we here? And so it all played in the Padres' favor. So yeah, getting the 4 seed over the 5 seed is a
big.
huge thing to play for down the stretch.
All right, we finally have resolution on Brandon Ayuk. We'll share that with you on the other side. Plus the wrap. Plus, could the Padres be reuniting with an old friend? It's hour 2 of Jon and Jim, and it's next.
All right, this update's brought to you by Project Clean Water. Padres Cardinals, final game of their 4-game series today. Padres lost to the Cardinals 4-1, ended up splitting the series after taking the first 2 games. They move on to Tampa. Will they take on the Rays for a 3-game series starting tomorrow afternoon? Aztecs, they get their season underway in 2 days. 5 p.m. kickoff at Snapdragon Stadium as they take on Texas A&M Commerce. Of course, you can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Tonight is the Sean Lewis Coaches Show, the debut of the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John and Rich and Coach Lewis, starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. And breaking news in the NFL, according to Adam Schefter, the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk have reached an agreement on a 4-year extension for $120 million and $76 million guaranteed. Want to keep our waterways clean and beautiful? Harsh chemicals from car washing can flow into storm drains, harming our waterways. Choose eco-friendly car washes that properly dispose of the water from suds to shores. Wash your car wisely. Visit projectcleanwater.org for details and tips how to make a difference.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Like Jim said, we have the breaking NFL news to react to. Our long national nightmare is over. Brandon Ayuk has come to terms with the Niners. It is actually everything that we said it would be. Both sides probably made concessions, where Ayuk probably went into it saying, I got to be like a top 3 paid receiver. Well, he's not. And the Niners probably went into it saying, you know what, you're more like a top 10 receiver. Well, he's going to get more than that. And they meet in the middle. I think you just said off air he's going to be paid something like the 6th highest receiver, 5th. Okay, 5th at $30 million, 4 years. Initial reaction, Jim, is a lifelong Niners fan, to Brandon Ayuk staying really for the short term and the long term. He'll be there for the next 3 or 4 years.
He'll be there for the next 5 years.
Because this is beyond.
So he has
through
2028. He has a 1-year deal left. Or 1 year left on his deal, his rookie contract, because they picked up the rookie option, and then it's 4 years added onto that. So he's there for the next 5 years, locking him up with Brock Purdy whenever they give him a contract extension next offseason. But interesting note from Adam Schefter, he said that in the end, Brandon Ayuk accepted the same deal that's been on the table since early August. His hold-in did not alter any part of his new 4-year, $120 million extension. He took the same deal that had been there for the past 3 weeks.
Oh, so yeah, but August, I mean, I think we've been talking about it for 3 weeks. I think this saga has been playing out since then.
August 10th was the day that they offered that deal to Brandon Ayuk.
So that was back when they're like, we'll move you. If you get a deal done, we would move you. I think this saga has played out for 3 weeks. Like they had an offer on the table.
It's played out for the whole offseason, but they finally put an offer that they upped in front of Brandon Ayuk 3 weeks ago. And that was kind of like the final offer from them. They're not going higher than that. And they slotted him above Jalen Waddle and Devontae Adams, but below guys like Justin Jefferson and Amon-Ra and CeeDee Lamb and Tyreek Hill.
Everyone's a winner. Which
makes sense because Brandon Ayuk is not as good as those guys. He is very good, but he's not a top 5 wide receiver.
They're all winners. You want to go to Pittsburgh and have your quarterback be Russell Wilson for the next 4 years? No.
Right, exactly.
And do you want to do it so you can get 30.5? I mean, what was Pittsburgh really going to get? What's Cleveland going to give you? 31?
Yeah. If you were arguing over that,
and which I think it probably is, he wasn't getting 40 if the highest paid receiver is at 35.
He probably is like, hey, I want 32.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, give me a
or
break.
I want another year, but that's a long time through 2028 in NFL terms. He'll be 31 because he's 26 right now. So, well, the Niners stay on the here and now, need to win now mode. They keep a key player on their team for 2024 and beyond, and Brandon Ayuk gets paid.
And here are the deals for wide receivers this offseason. And this deal makes perfect sense for Brandon Ayuk. Perfect sense. So CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, they signed their contracts this offseason. Justin Jefferson, 140. You get it. He's the best wide receiver in the league potentially. CeeDee Lamb, 136. Those are the top 2 guys. After that, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 years, $120.01 million.
So the exact same deal.
Brandon Ayuk, 4 years, $120 million. Pretty much the same deal as Amon-Ra.
20 grand a year is the difference.
Right.
20, 25K.
After that, you got DJ Moore, 4 for 110, and then AJ Brown, 3 for 92, Jalen Waddle, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, but Calvin Ridley, Jerry Jeudy. But where he slots, I think it makes sense. And it's crazy how me as a 49ers fan thought that there's points where I'm like, yeah, Brandon Ayuk's not going to be on this team.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as they didn't trade him a couple weeks ago, my thought all along was he's going to be a 49er no matter what, because they're not going to trade him this close to the season. If anything, they would wait to the trade deadline this year and trade him then. But even that would be kind of weird and not make sense, because for Brandon Ayuk's perspective, because why are you sitting out? I don't know. It doesn't make sense. Brandon Ayuk did not play his cards well. The 49ers also had missteps, but in the end, they get their player, and now they got to get Trent Williams back in.
Well, they're in a position where there's no reason to believe heading into the year they don't remain the NFC's favorite. Doesn't mean they get to a Super Bowl or win one, but there's no real reason to believe. It's like the band's back together is basically the point, and they've been to 2 of the last 3 Super Bowls. They'll try to make it 3 out of 4. It's not going to be easy. Could be a hangover effect, but they have the pieces in place to potentially make that run. All right, we're going to get to the wrap. We're giving away Def Leppard tickets this hour. Chris Hodge, Taking Vegas, has free picks for our listeners coming up at 4:30. Right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Besides Rutgers and Howard, which we're watching right now, what college football game are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Well, I know John's answer, and it's all of them.
No, but I like that. Yeah, I would watch them all. I'm watching Rutgers Howard. Yeah.
I mean, are you excited about
I'll admit to that.
Are you excited about NC State and West Carolina?
There's a lot of games.
It's not West
today.
Carolina, dude. Western Carolina?
Western Carolina?
Clean
Whatever. Sorry.
Are you excited about the Cowboys and the Francisco Niners? Come on. Western Carolina is like the San Francisco of college football.
Okay.
What's your game?
My game is San Diego State,
I was
Texas
going to
A&M
say,
Commerce.
other than San Diego State.
Okay. Other than them?
Yeah.
Well, Georgia Clemson's a pretty good
That's
game.
a very good game. That's a great game.
I'll go with that.
Okay, you're going to go Georgia Clemson?
Yeah.
I kind of want to look at the full slate of games.
How about
which is only like 100.
I know what you're going to say.
No, I don't think you do.
No, I do.
Penn State, West Virginia.
No.
He's going to say Texas A&M versus Notre Dame.
Nope. I could
Or
have
he's going
said
to say
that.
LSU versus USC.
I do like that.
Those are the 3 big games we just mentioned.
All right. I'll say among that group, I'm most looking forward to, I kind of like LSU SC in Vegas on Sunday. Standalone game, Sunday, 4:30 Pacific, 2 top 25 teams. I think it's a very big game both ways. Lincoln Riley, SC, LSU. Yeah, I'll say SC, LSU, Sunday, standalone game, Allegiant Stadium, where I think LSU is a favorite in that game. Next question.
LSU -4.5.
There we go. Next question.
Is this next series a must-win series for the Padres?
So the Tampa series.
It's not a must-win series, but
are you sure?
I mean, it would be nice to take this series, have a 4-3 road trip, and feel okay about yourself coming home to take on the Detroit Tigers in start of September.
It's not a must-win series, obviously, because the series isn't even in September.
No.
But with all that being said, like you mentioned earlier, you look at the wild card, and that lead on being in the postseason right now for the Padres is down to 5 full games over the Mets. If you did lose 2 of 3, and I guess if the Mets win 2 of their next 3, you'd be 4 games up on a playoff spot heading into September. So it's not a must-win series, but things have tightened up in that wild card race. Arizona 1 game better than San Diego, and San Diego only 1.5 games better than Atlanta. You'd feel great if they take 2 out of 3 in Tampa. I feel like there's completely trending in a fine direction if they take 2 out of 3 in Tampa, but they don't have to win the series. Next question.
I can tell who wrote this by the way it's phrased like a baseball question. Is Steph Curry worth $63 million in his age 38 season?
Who wrote it?
I did. Well, that's what it is. It's his age 38 season.
But they don't do that. That's one of those things we talked about before with baseball
They
slogans
literally
that
do
don't.
because I took it off SportsCenter's Instagram, but I get your point. It says age 38 season, 63.
Typically, it's more for baseball.
Yeah.
Is he worth that? Yeah. He's still one of the better players in basketball. He is everything to the Warriors. He is their franchise. You couldn't pay Steph Curry enough money from their standpoint. From their standpoint, they don't have Steph Curry. They're done. Like, he has made them into probably I think it's like either the second or third most profitable franchise in all of like sports.
Well, I guess from a valuation
Like
point.
valuation,
Yeah. Yeah, okay. From that perspective, I completely understand what you're saying. That's like saying LeBron James is worth every penny he will ever earn in Los Angeles. But will LeBron ever win in Los Angeles? And will Steph win at age 38 in Golden State? Probably not.
Probably not, but
You're
still,
paying
He
for
still
past-
puts butts in the seats.
You're paying. It's a marketing play.
well, he's also really good.
But this isn't this season.
No,
This is the extended deal, right? Was it 2 or 3 years from now?
it's
The third year?
it turns into a 3-year, $176 million deal.
So, okay, so the third year
Or
of
I said
that,
Yeah.
he's 38 years of age.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you have no other option.
But that's what the max is in the NBA. Like they didn't just say we're going to give you $63 million.
They probably would have made it more.
They
if it was up to them.
they said, okay, what is the max for that age player, and for that age player in the NBA where it slots, that's what it is for his all of his accomplishments, everything for that type of player at that age.
No,
That's the
great.
slot.
Is it worth it?
Yes,
Because LeBron James, we would say, isn't going to win, and we say, man, LeBron in LA.
Here's the difference, in my opinion, between the LeBron and Steph thing. It's their style of play. Steph can play later in his career because he's a jump shooter. He's not going to just drive into the basket and just take contact the whole time like LeBron does. That's why LeBron gets hurt all the time. And yeah, Steph does get hurt, but not as much as LeBron does. I just think the fact that he shoots mostly jump shots is going to help him just last longer compared to LeBron.
No, LeBron's already past age 38 and has been so good in his late 30s. You know, I mean, it's not about LeBron not being worth it individually. I'm saying as a team. LeBron's been good, but the team's not good. I think Steph's obviously been good, but is the team going to be good with him?
I think that it will be difficult for the Warriors to win, but at the same time, he's still a top 10 player in the league, and yeah, I think it's worth it.
Next question.
Does Tommy Pham make sense for the Padres now that he's been placed on waivers?
No, where would he make sense?
Tyler Wade.
He doesn't play short. I would, if he played shortstop, then yeah, for sure. But he doesn't.
Not even then, because Hassan Kim is supposedly coming back. He's going to be replaced by the guy off waivers.
No, not to replace Hassan Kim if he was a shortstop. To replace that other guy that made that error today and has had no hits in the last 7 games.
Even that, but that we're talking about something completely different. But Tommy Pham, you're not bringing Tommy Pham here to play once every 10 days.
They have David Peralta, who is the guy that will be filling in for whoever won't be out there when Tatis gets back. Tatis is going to come back. They got Jackson Merrill, Jerkson Profar. That's their 4-man outfield.
I don't think it makes any sense. Obviously, AJ Preller has, had a long, interest in Pham, and he's been here previously. I think it makes no sense. I don't know why you would consider it at all.
But good on the Cardinals for doing this to see if Tommy Pham could get picked up by a postseason contender.
Right, because they just acquired him within the last month.
Yeah. And he has until Tuesday to be picked up by a roster, and then
he's got to be eligible on a roster.
Be eligible for the postseason. I think.
Yeah, is it Tuesday or is it September 1st, which is Monday?
It might be. It's Monday or Tuesday. Maybe it's Tuesday because it's Labor Day on Monday.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's coming up here quickly. Would you be surprised if, the Diamondbacks picked up Tommy Pham?
No, based on last year. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if I guess any contender picked up Tommy Pham. Although I just don't think it makes any sense for San Diego. Although maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe the dynamic at play. I don't think it does. Not with the way Peralta's played, not with Tatis coming back.
Right.
I just don't know where he would play. I just really don't. I don't know where he'd play. And Profar's cooled off, but you're not going to replace Jerkson Profar with Tommy Pham. So, yeah, I don't think it makes any sense, truthfully, for the Padres. What do you guys think? 70470. You can start your message with the word team. 70470. Start it with the word team. Chris Hodge taking Vegas. He will join us coming up at 4:30. He has free college football week 1 picks for our listeners. And coming up next, we're giving away Def Leppard tickets on Jon and Jim. All right, we do have Def Leppard tickets to give away. We'll do that in the next, 5 or 6 minutes. Friend of the show, Chris Hodge, taking Vegas, who's been great for our listeners. He's had some huge winners, NFL and college over the years. Chris Hodge returns to San Diego Sports 760 coming up at 4:30. He will have free picks for our listeners. College football week 1 is underway. We've been talking about the Padres losing in St. Louis today. They get a split of the series, took the first 2, lose the last 2. They're on their way for Tampa. We've been spending, a lot of scoreboard watching, right? Arizona loses today. Good. Dodgers win yesterday. Bad. Dodgers play again tonight.
Bad.
Could be good or bad, depending on what happens. I don't know. It's like I'm less about scoreboard watching heading into this Tampa series as I am just watching the Padres take 2 out of 3. Because it's like you can't control any of the other stuff. Like I can't sit there all mad at my TV because the Dodgers beat the Orioles on Dodger decoy ridiculous night. You just got to win games. And if it works out, it works out. They're not getting – the Dodgers could fall on their face. But if the Padres do as well, it's not going to serve any purpose.
I just want this Padres team to play a little better baseball. That's all. And there are some guys on this team that are struggling. And when you win a bunch of games, you don't talk about it because that's all that matters is getting the wins. And we've mentioned over the last month that that's the only thing to be talked about. And there's nothing to complain about when you win a bunch of games like they have been. But when you start, playing a brand of baseball where you're like a 500, you play 500 and you aren't winning series and you lose a couple games in a row here and there. And the offense looks like it is. And then you start looking, okay, well then let's dive into what these guys are doing here and what's their stretch of games and how they've been playing. And Jake Cronenworth has struggled. Jurickson Profar has really struggled. He was hitless in the series. And Xander Bogaerts has really struggled as well. Those 3 guys have really struggled. It's a testament to this team to be where they're at with Xander in the month of August having 3 extra base hits total. It's a testament to where this team is at with Jake Cronenworth the last 30-plus games hitting almost 200 and Jurickson Profar regressing back to what I think everybody expected Jurickson Profar to be when the Padres signed him at the start of the season.
Yeah, points are valid. I think since the All-Star game, they have 10 series wins. I think this is right. 2 series losses and a series tie. It might actually be 10-1-2. It's either 10 wins, 2 losses, and a tie, or 10 wins, 1 loss, and 2 ties. My point is, yeah, fair. They have no question. They are not playing as well today as they were when they were 22-6. Nobody's arguing that. But even with these guys struggling, fair. They've struggled. Cronenworth, Profar, yada, yada, yada. Bogaerts went 2-2 in St. Louis, which by Padres standards, if you look at the last 25 series in St. Louis, they've lost 17 of them. And they've split a few and they've won a couple. So, like, it's not some absurd result. If they lost 3 or 4 in St. Louis against a struggling Cardinals team, I feel more probably in line with that. And again, I'm not in the business of excuses either, although I think I'll make them. I'm willing to make one for the Padres who have actually played well in the second half. The weather was a joke. And it's part of it. That's going to happen. You're in St. Louis. It's 100 degrees. So be it. It's part of it. Both teams playing it. But, like, that's not like seeing the Padres at their full capabilities for whatever it's worth. And they went 2-2 in weird circumstances. And now they got to go to Tampa and win a series. And if they win that series and Profar goes hitless in 12 at bats, I'll take it. But they just got to go win that series.
And that's the part of your season where the only thing that matters is winning, however you get it done. But when you lose, then you start looking at, okay, how are they losing? Where are they struggling? Where do they need to improve? And it's not, I think, out of left field to be like, yeah, Profar needs to be better. Cronenworth needs to be better. And Xander Bogaerts hopefully isn't returning to the Xander Bogaerts that was before he came back from the IL, which was a guy that had no pop. He had a, sub 600 OPS, and all he was really good for was giving you singles.
I mean, the truth is, and we said this weeks ago, and we knew that this was a possibility, the schedule stiffened up.
Yeah.
Twins, Mets, Cardinals, Rays ain't Rockies, Pirates, Marlins, Pirates, Rockies.
And thank God they played as well as they did in that 15-game stretch.
That's the thing. And it is a tougher schedule remaining. It's not impossible. Tampa's not the best team in baseball, but they're good enough. Detroit's not great, but they're good enough. Same thing with San Francisco. Same thing with Seattle, right? Houston's been very good. The only sure thing is 3 games. It's the White Sox, and we don't know they're going to win the 3 games, but the only sure thing from a series perspective is the White Sox. Everything else
Oh, no, don't say that.
is formidable. What?
Don't jinx it.
I just said we don't know they're going to win. I said
I know.
the only team that's not good on the schedule is the White Sox.
Correct.
That's the only team. The other teams are all capable of playing well against you.
Should I go back to Europe?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything's wrong. I really don't. I think it's a lot of overreaction. Not from you. I just think in general. I think it's like human nature. It's like, oh my gosh, they didn't give anything back. They went into the series with the exact same record. 16 games. They went into this series 16 games over 500. They left this series 16 games over 500. That's a win when you get closer to the end of the season.
So I guess if your hopes were to win a division, then today you're probably very upset. If your hopes were to
Make
just
the
make the
playoffs.
postseason, today you're kind of brushing it off and you don't really care as much. If your hopes were maybe have an outside shot at being the 1 seed in the best record of the National League, then this wasn't.
Yeah, it's probably not.
Hasn't been a great 2 weeks for you.
Correct.
I think I fell in between the part of the division and making the postseason, and after today's loss, I kind of fell into the more of, well, I guess the division's bye-bye.
It's not bye-bye. It's just unlikely.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the division, if they continue to play 500 baseball, is obtainable, because it's not.
It's not. There's no, it's not.
And that's where I get frustrated, because I'm like, well, I kind of had a little bit of hopes of that Dodger series really meaning something for the division.
And I think you should still have hopes. I just think it's unlikely. I don't think it's impossible. I just think it's unlikely. All right, Chris Hodge taking Vegas joins us up next. Caller 5, you're going to see Def Leppard Friday, tomorrow at Petco Park. Caller 5, 877-767-4760. Call now, 877-767-4760. Chris Hodge taking Vegas. Free college football week 1 picks next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Project Clean Water. Padres lost the fourth and final game of the series to the Cardinals today, 4-1. They ended up splitting that series. They move on to Tampa, where they'll take on the Rays for a 3-game series starting tomorrow afternoon. Aztecs will get underway and kick off their season this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium against Texas A&M Commerce. It'll be the first game in the Sean Lewis era. The breaking news in the NFL of the day: Brandon Ayuk signed a 4-year, $120 million contract extension with the San Francisco 49ers today. 76 of that is guaranteed. And tonight, the Sean Lewis Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis, starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Want to keep our waterways clean and beautiful? Harsh chemicals from car washing can flow into storm drains, harming our waterways. Choose eco-friendly car washes that properly dispose of the water from studs to shores. Wash your car wisely. Visit projectcleanwater.org for details and tips how to make a difference.
Football is back officially. Week 1 in college. Week 1 of the NFL is a week away from tonight. It is awesome for us to have Chris Hodge back with us. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I think for a lot of our listeners, they've heard this for a long, long time on the radio with us, takingvegas.com. He's been so good for our listeners. So many big wins over the seasons. He's been, a long-time member of San Diego Sports 760, iHeartRadio San Diego. He's been donating to the Radio Children's Give-a-thon over the years. Chris, it's great to have you back here. And first of all, thanks for hopping on, man. How are you?
Oh, well, thank you for having me, as always. It's good to be back with you boys, man. I missed you guys.
Yes.
I know.
I was able to do it, but I'm glad to be back this year.
Well, you're back, and as you always do, we'll get to the free pick that you have for our listeners in a moment, but I want to make sure that our listeners know that they can get free picks as well by texting the word WIN, W-I-N, to 545454. Let me just say it one more time. Text WIN, W-I-N, to 545454, because you've got a free college week 1 pick. What do you have for our listeners right now if they text?
So if they text the word WIN to that number you just mentioned, 545454, look, everyone wants to watch Clemson and Georgia on Saturday, and I know it's not tonight. We'll get into the Thursday night stuff next week when the NFL begins. But, that's a big game on Saturday. Obviously, Georgia, a little bit of a bad taste in their mouth. They didn't make the CFP last year. But if you look at Georgia, the only team that this football team has lost to in the last 3 full seasons is Alabama. That's the only team they've lost to. Now you got Clemson coming in, and Clemson got to a pretty rough start last year, but they picked it up as the year went on. They ended the year on a winning streak, and they're catching 13.5 points. So everyone's going to watch that game. Everyone wants to watch it. And that's a high point spread for such a high-profile game between 2 great programs. So if you text the word WIN to the number 545454, it's available right now, absolutely free, no questions asked, no one to speak to. You just get the pick, and I hope to start the season for you guys with a winner.
And you also have a free pick that you're giving out to our listeners right now. What do you have in this weekend's Miami-Florida game?
So here's the thing, right? Miami is immensely more talented than Florida. The problem with Miami is their head coach is an absolute idiot. He just finds a way to screw things up all the time. Now, Napier might not be much better for Florida. Like, this guy hasn't really done well since joining the SEC. But the talent disparity for this game, people don't realize it. Miami did really well in the transfer portal. And this is something wagerers have to factor into the equation right now, is this damn transfer portal, because so much stuff is going on with it. And if you're unprepared with who went where and what talent went where, you could get hurt, especially early in the season. I'm telling you, Miami is way more talented than Florida. Last year, Florida caught Utah, and Utah really struggled in that game with the humidity and the heat down in the swamp. Florida's not going to get that same thing with Miami because they're from Florida. So I think Miami gets the job done by 10 points. They're laying 2.5. Again, the talent disparity, you're going to see it when you watch it. Miami is faster, better. And if Cristobal don't screw this up, Miami should win that game easily by 10 points.
All right, so take the Hurricanes, lay the 2.5 points this weekend, week 1 against Florida. That's the free pick for our listeners. Again, if you want the Georgia-Clemson game, you can text WIN to 5454 888-866-9954. Chris Hodge taking Vegas with us right now on Jon and Jim. By the way, he'll be with us all season long on Thursdays at 4:30 Pacific. Getting you ready for Thursday Night Football in the NFL. Now, Chris, I've asked you about this before. I think it's really good for our listeners, though, maybe some of our newcomers as well. How should you treat sports wagering like a business? Because there's paths you can go down here, but if you treat it like a business or an investment, you can make a wise choice.
Sure. And look, I'm in the wagering business, and I don't like what's being portrayed. I don't think it's good for the public, especially young Americans. I don't like it's being glorified, and it should not be, because it's not easy. And the sports books want you to bet every single game, every single night for no money management. And if you do that, and look, I'm in the business, so if I was to give you those games, I couldn't win for you. No one can. That's the strategy that they want you to follow. So if you had an enemy in life, right, and they're the enemy, why would you do what the enemy wants you to do, right? That doesn't make any sense. So we perfected, this is my 19th year doing Sports Investors Daily, right? So 19 years. So we feel good about where we're at. If you treat sports wagering as an investment, you bet select games. You can choose what games you want to bet and how much you want to bet them for. You don't have to bet every game. And you don't treat it in terms of gambling. You treat it in terms of an investment. We have proven, our track record has proven, that you can find success in this world. But if you're going to bet just like a lunatic, it will never work out. So, like I said, I've been on with you guys for a while, and I didn't put this in our email, but call me out. If I'm being wrong right now, call me out. Like, the free picks I've given you guys on this show since I've been on, they probably won about 70%. Is that a fair number?
I think it's fair. Yeah. You've had a couple years that might be higher than that.
Yeah, you on a roll a couple years ago.
That's a fair number, right? So, I have guys call me, oh, you lost 2 in a row, you stink. And I'm just like, man, you guys don't even know what you're talking about. And it all just comes back to put a bankroll together that's comfortable for you, bet a percentage on it on select games, and then watch it grow. If you could do that, you'll win money. If you can't, you won't. It's really that simple.
When you were here in studio with us, didn't you pick the Padres to make the postseason at plus 150, right? Am I right on that?
Yes, we did. At that time we were talking, and I made the comment. I believe I said, "Look, they're not as good as the Dodgers." And I still don't believe they're as good as the Dodgers. I'm sorry. I know people out there. I know. But you talked about there was going to be 3 division winners, right? And we figured the Dodgers were going to win the West. But then you looked at the other teams. You looked at the Diamondbacks. You looked at the Braves at the time. And I'm looking at the Padres, and I'm like, they're just as good as those teams. So at plus 150 at that time, and I believe I was with you guys in the middle of May. It just seemed like a good bet. And San Diego, for trading Juan Soto and all the stuff that they've gone through, they've done a tremendous job. And that's a team, I wouldn't want to play that team in the playoffs. That's a team that could get on a run like you guys went on a couple of years ago and really make some noise, to be honest with you.
I want to say it was May as well when you probably had a pretty good odds on the Phillies, right? 11, 12 to 1. They could be a favorite out of the National League. I think you had the Phillies 11 to 1 that day, didn't you?
Yeah, and the reasoning behind that was their rotation. They pitch, so they get to the playoffs. You're going to have to deal with 4 really good pitches over there. Problem with the Phillies right now is that they're dealing with some injuries, but they're still going to win the NL East. Who knows? They might get home field advantage. I know they've been struggling here and there, and it just depends on what goes on. But back at that time, again, in the middle of May, you're talking, hey, yes, we put some futures, and you know what? I'll give you a future here in college football. Okay. I think this is good value. We all know Georgia is the best team in the country. All right, so you don't need me to come on and tell you guys, hey, bet Georgia 2 to 1 to win the national title. Any person can do that. But there's a sneaky team in the SEC that is 18 to 1, and that team is LSU. That is a very good football team. With the expansion to 12 right now, they're going to probably be in the playoffs. And that's a team that's going to get better and better as the year goes along. And at 18 to 1, I like the value there, just like I like the Phillies value at 11 to 1. I think LSU at 18 to 1, you could get them in a national semifinal, then maybe start to hedge against it.
All right, so we're doing this all season long again with Chris Hodge, takingvegas.com. And again, if you want week 1, Clemson, Georgia, massive college football game, right? Game of the weekend, right there as the game of the weekend. All you have to do is text WIN, WIN, to 545454. Again, text WIN, WIN, to 545454. And Chris, when you come back next weekend, we're talking NFL, right? We're talking Chiefs Ravens.
Oh yeah.
Chiefs Ravens be a lot of fun. I know you guys are probably happy. I always forget who's a San Francisco fan, but
That's
Ayuk
me.
just signed, so that's good for San Francisco. Nice little deal he got. And you'll see if San Francisco, look, 2 years in a row, they made it to the conference title game. Last year, obviously, the Super Bowl. Maybe they take the next step this year. So I think the NFL is going to have a fascinating season.
How do you feel? Are there any, real quick before you go, any futures on Aaron Judge? I know you're an East Coaster, you're a Yankees guy. Any futures on Aaron Judge that make any sense at this point or no?
So, I mean, I don't think in September when the games really, really matter to a couple teams that will be playing the Yankees, you can't pitch to him right now.
Right.
Like, you just can't do it. The guy is in too much of his own, and that really hurts you. And then, I know the Yankees are in a, obviously, they're in a battle right now with Baltimore. That could go either way, that division. So, the Yankees are going to play, right down to the end. They're not going to have that division locked up with like a week to go. So you'll probably get more games out of him. But right now, you really got to be crazy to pitch to Aaron Judge. Like, you can't throw this guy a strike right now because he's going to hit it out of the park. So I think they had his home run total set at 62.5. I don't think he's going to get to that. I think I would go under that just because, I just don't see in big spots, they're just going to walk this guy, as they should. That's the strategy they should employ, and I think I might take at bats away from him.
All right. Chris Hodge, all season long, back with us throughout football season, takingvegas.com. And again, if you want that Clemson, Georgia game, all you got to do is text WIN to 545454. Chris, thank you. We'll do it again for the NFL opener. Thanks, man.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Looking forward to all year long.
We're looking forward to it. Again, Chris Hodge back with us. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. All right, back to the Padres on their way for Tampa Bay on the other side. Reaction to a series split in St. Louis, plus 3 more giveaways for you here today. We're here until 6. It's Jon and Jim. All right, Sean Lewis Show, 6 p.m. San Diego Sports 760. We'll be there, of course, Saturday. We'll have everything you need. We got you fully covered Saturday afternoon, 3 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin. Ben Fletcher, J.R. Tolbert, Jim Russell will be in the building. Oh, yeah. You didn't hear it?
Breaking news to me.
All right, so Ben Fadden, talking
Hey, he's on
Flyers.
social media for us.
That's
That's
like,
not
what?
terrible.
I'm doing what?
He's going to do pregame with Jared Tolbert. Now, have we told Ben Fadden that he's doing it? No. But it's a really good opportunity. No, it's Ben Fletcher.
Yes.
And Jared Tolbert. Now, Jared says I'm kind of cheating at him because we did pregame together for 7 years. And now I'm doing a game with Rich. But I think he's kidding. I'm pretty sure he's kidding. Jared Tolbert, the Aztecs for Life, the greatest receiver for this program. Of course, we'll be back. So 2-hour pregame, 5 o'clock kick. Do the highlights. Really not. And 5 o'clock start, yeah. So it's going to be really nice. I think in the 5 o'clock hour, we have 3 giveaways for our listeners. We have tickets to see Dick, Michelle Crow, and the Script, Wednesday, September 11th. We have tickets to see Dan and Shay for Friday, September 6th. We have tickets to see Green with Oreo Speedwagons coming up Tuesday, September 10th. Tons of giveaways for you coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. If you missed our conversation, by the way, with Shady Wick, that'll be up at sportsnsd.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. What is the thing you gotta see on Saturday from San Diego State? Other than outscore Texas A&M, score more points than them, more runs on the board. I just heard that somewhere. Yeah, I know.
Thanks, Dan.
Well, I mean, are you expecting, like some big? You need to see like an 80-yard touchdown pass, or you need to see some aerial display, or you need to see them get to a certain point threshold.
It's just like, the promo's been saying, Aztec fast.
Run,
That's
run
what
at
I
a
want to
quick
see.
tempo, sure.
I want
Yep.
to see Aztec fast. I want to see them, just calling plays after play. I want to see them throwing the football a lot more and just being more creative on the offensive side of the ball than what they've been the past couple of years. I just, we've heard for months now, Aztec fast, Aztec fast. We're finally going to get to see, in person what
Sure.
Aztec fast is. And that's what I'm most excited for.
That's what I'm looking for too, is how is the offense going to look? Are they going to show some explosive plays? Are they going to put points on the board? Because as you said the other day, we haven't been talking about the defense much, but that's a little bit by design, because with a new regime and a new coach and a new system, it is all based on the offense. Like, you need to score points. You need to put points on the board. You need to have a more competent offense. You need to move the ball up and down the field. You need to put butts in the seats. You need to have people be excited. You need to have an exciting brand of football. So, yeah, that is the number one thing I'm looking for on Saturday is how does the offense look? That's it. How does the offense look? Truthfully, I know that we have this argument a lot. If they gave up 40 points, but they score 45 points,
You take it over the alternative of
13 to
13 nothing win.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. Against Texas A&M Commerce, I mean, it's a fun conversation. You'll take, in 2 days, you'll take the 45-40, and I understand completely what you're saying. You'll take the 45-40 win. Maybe they score a touchdown late, down 40-38, to win the game 45-40. You'll take that over a 13-0 shutout, 7 sacks, 3 forced turnovers. You struggle to move the football, score 13 points.
Well, yeah, because as Brent just said, what are all the promos?
No, I get it. That's why I'm saying it that way. I
what's
get it.
everything that Sean Lewis has talked about? Aztec fast.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're pumping out Aztec fast offense, and you go out there and you score 7 points,
Right.
but your defense balls out,
Right.
It just wouldn't.
I think
match.
most people agree with you. I mean, 70470 started with team. Would you rather see San Diego State win by 14, but 14-0, or win by 5, but the final score is 45-40? I think most people probably do agree with you. 70470 started with team. The other thing that I think is really cool, and we asked JD about it, this has nothing to do with the game, but he brought up the fact that this is what goes on in the South and in the Midwest. A lot of tailgating experiences are on grass, and teams walk in through fan bases, which was happening a little bit at Snapdragon Stadium. We were right outside there when the buses would pull up and they would just walk right in the main gates.
Yeah.
But they would just park the buses and walk right in the main gates. This is going to be like an immersive experience. They're truly going to walk through tailgaters on grass lawns, I guess behind the piers, so to speak, closer to IKEA, if you know the lot of land. And it's going to be a really cool experience, I would say. The tailgating, I think, is going to be new. The Warrior Walk is going to be new. And I think it's going to be really cool to see that, like get eyes on that. I'm going to be inside at that point. You might be outside. I think it's going to be a cool thing to watch how like all the tailgating plays out this year, because we haven't really seen, at least from where we've been, we haven't like seen the tailgating on that side of the stadium.
Well, we also forget that land is still not even close to fully developed yet.
Sure. Right. River Park's now open.
Like the River Park's open. That's great. But
there's going to be like buildings.
There's still going to be a lot of buildings that have to go up it there. A lot of parking garages, more maybe like mini parks, like areas to tailgate, areas to go. You know, that place is not done yet. Did you have the football stadium? You got the parking lot area, but that's all going to be building soon in the near future. And then the River Park, like you said, like that just opened up. So, and I haven't been over there yet. So I'm excited to go see what that looks like. But I think it's cool. You're around a bunch of fans, you're going through the tailgate, and you have a designated area for all of that now. And I think it's gonna be cool. I think it's gonna be a fun new thing for this program.
All right, on the other side, what do you got, bro?
I was gonna say, with them walking like through the area,
like tailgaters,
it kind of reminds me of, you know how in Dallas they have that little like bar area where like the team goes through that bar. It's kind of like that. Only I think it's cooler to walk through a tailgate area than just to walk through a bar.
Yeah, no, that's fair. All right, on the other side, here's what we're gonna do. If you missed Mike Schilt earlier, Padres get a split against St. Louis. They dropped the last two games. We'll hear from Mike Schilt again. Plus, coming up next, we'll give away tickets to see Pink with Sheryl Crow and The Script to kick off hour 3 of Jon and Jim. That's next.
All right, this update's brought to you by Project Clean Water. Padres Cardinals final game of their 4-game series today. Padres lost to the Cardinals. They ended up splitting the series after taking the first 2 games. Kind of a disappointing end to that 4-game series. They move on to Tampa Bay as they take on the Rays starting tomorrow afternoon. Moving over to the Aztecs. We're 2 days away from San Diego State football kicking off their 2024 season, the first season of the Sean Lewis era. 5 p.m. kickoff. Aztecs taking on Texas A&M Commerce. Our pregame coverage starts at 3 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. NFL news of the day, Brandon Ayuk. That saga with the 49ers is finally over as he signed a 4-year, $120 million contract extension, $76 million guaranteed there. And tonight, we're an hour away from the debut of the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John Rich and Coach Lewis, starting at 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Want to keep our waterways clean and beautiful? Harsh chemicals from car washing can flow into storm drains, harming our waterways. Choose eco-friendly car washes that properly dispose of the water from suds to shores. Wash your car wisely. Visit projectcleanwater.org for details and tips how to make a difference.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. We have 3 giveaways for you this hour. We'll give away tickets to see Pink in the next 15 minutes. We'll also hear from Mike Schild. If you missed it earlier, he spoke with the media. He often does, basically every day. He speaks with the media. Padres, we were on the air yesterday at this time, and we're like, man, they could take this series. They could, who knows? They could have a 6-1 road trip. They were 2-0.
Yeah.
They're
on the verge of winning 4 in a row.
Yeah. I mean, everything was really good. Obviously, they'd been having a really good second half, and they still have. And it's funny how that works with baseball. It's like between shows, they lost 2 times. Like we were just on the show yesterday. We were right here 24 hours ago, and between shows, they lose twice. And yeah, it's a little less stable. 24 hours, I guess, is what I would say.
And up with a clutch home run yesterday to tie the game up, and you think to yourself, here we go again. That's been their identity for the last month and a half. And then they get walked off.
Yep. With 2 outs and nobody on.
Right.
Yep.
Robert Suarez didn't look particularly great, but he also didn't look bad either. Another thing about Robert Suarez that we kind of touched on a little bit on the wrap-up show last night, his strikeouts are down. He's not striking out. He's not striking out guys at a clip that he used to here at the Padres.
Even this year. And isn't he less than a strikeout per inning this year? It's a little rare for a closer today. Is he something like that? 50?
I think he's
or just at it.
Just at it.
Okay. But it's gone down.
It has gone down. Where he was averaging, I mean, he had like, I think 63 strikeouts in 47 innings in 2022.
Right. So that ratio has gone down.
And then last year
to
me was a wash, bad year for him, injured, and I think it was suspended for the sticky stuff.
That's right.
But then this year, that's to me just a little concerning. Not the end of the world. He hasn't been as dominant of late. You could also chalk that up to like, well, he's pitched a lot, and there's not been a lot of off days here, and so forth and so forth. I'm not too overly concerned about Robert Suarez. I really am not. I still think the Padres have the best bullpen in baseball, truthfully. But you then all of a sudden, after Higgy ties it up, you lose yesterday, and today felt just completely flat.
Kind of demoralizing. They weren't really in it. They weren't really out of it, but they weren't really in it.
It didn't feel like at any point they were going to make a run. Like Jackson Merrill had that home run there to make it a 2-1 game.
Then they had 2 on when Higgy flew out in foul territory, whenever that was, 7th or 8th inning.
Right.
But you're right. Yeah, they didn't have many chances. How many? I mean, even we said 1 for 15 minutes scoring position the last 2 games, but they only had like 4 or 5 at bats today with men in scoring position. Yeah.
Profar and Peralta went 0 in the series.
Yeah, that's concerning. It is. It's a bad series. It's a bad series.
You had Bogarts have a day off today because he is struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Wade made a crucial error in this game on a ball that he should have had.
Sure.
Cost the team 2 runs there. And you now go to Tampa a little, not banged up, but just a little fatigued, right? Because you see the finish line of this 18-18 stretch.
Yeah, 4 away.
but you're not playing as good a baseball as you were, and it's kind of not just hang on mode time, but you're just every game you're just hanging in there because that's all you really need to do. You don't need to go out and try to win 10 in a row to get back in it. You're firmly in it. You're just hanging in there because you know if you just do that, you're going to make the postseason.
I think there's less excuses this weekend. And again, nobody's really in the business of excuses. I do think it's fair to discuss the conditions in St. Louis are not ideal. And thankfully, the Padres don't play in that all summer long, but it was very hot. Okay, that's life. They get paid a lot of money. They're professional athletes. They're in the prime of their lives. They can deal with it, but it wasn't ideal. There are less excuses this weekend. Okay, Tampa's on the other side of the trade deadline. They're not going to the postseason. Crowds like St. Louis are not a factor. You're playing indoors. Okay, so that's not a factor at all. This 18-18 ends now, basically after this weekend. Yes, they play Detroit for one, then they have an off day on Tuesday. But for me, the excuses are like, there's less of them this weekend. Tampa's fine. They're not bad. They're fine. They're a very average home team. Go win the series, and I think everything is all right. Here was Mike Schild. So Padres lose 4-1 on this hot day in St. Louis. This was what Mike Schild had to say about a postgame.
Yeah, these don't have. I mean, those guys threw the ball pretty well. Overall, I just love the way our guys went about this whole series. Grit squad on display. You don't have to win to have heart. Do a consolation prize. These guys, they bat their tails off, man. These guys posted and gave us everything they had every day, and tough environment a little bit, no excuses, but took some good at bats against Gray. Jackson took a swing on him, had some opportunities, just couldn't cash in.
I'm assuming, even though you normalized and you guys have done a great job at that, the elements are a bit of the reason that you are pleased with the.
Yeah, I just can't discount it. I mean, again, we normalize regardless of circumstance, but also tip of the hat. These were extenuating circumstances. It was, the conditions were rough, and our guys, man, not one complaint. Effort level there, fight, desire, heart, just came out on the short end, but it's got to be appreciated, at least from my seat, the level of commitment these guys have.
How do you assess what King was able to do today under those conditions?
Yeah, I mean, Michael couldn't control as many counts as he probably would have liked. Wasn't able to, if he got ahead, he got behind. But stuff looked good. Made some pitches. They scratched early for 2 runs, and he did it. They had a lot of tough at bats, and they ran a pitch count up.
I know you guys look at a lot of different markers with him, but he's right over 150 innings this time of year. Like, what are you guys seeing from him in terms of how he compared to early in the season?
I see a guy looking like he has all year.
You kind of answered the question in regards to this series, but just in terms of the 14-14 that you played right now, where do you think like your guys are, specifically your pitching staff, and how they've kind of managed to withstand all that?
Oh, what
the grind of 14-14 and the 4 more.
I think everybody's doing it, but I'll answer your question. Pitching staff. The guys take the ball every 5 days. They're conditioned for it. By the way, a lot of love for our guys and how they take care of themselves. Our strength and conditioning guys do a really, really good job with this group. Jay and Rio do a phenomenal job, but our players are the ones that have to put the work in and ready for these kind of stretches. What I love about this stretch is this group is embracing it and going after it. The pitchers, the starters take the ball every 5 days, so they've been getting after it too, but they do have a 4-day break. The relievers have been carrying the mail for sure, but we've been passing the ball around there. Again, the guys that they all deserve, credit for it in the 14 days, but those guys going out there posting every day, playing 9 innings or on the bases and doing all those things every day that are the ones that they're all getting after it, but those everyday guys carrying that much pail pretty darn well.
Yeah, back-to-back walks. There were quite a few pitches there. And is that a part also of what you looked at in the last few innings and said, these guys are battling? Maryland Pearl.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, actually, the whole thing, if you're, everybody sees the game with different lens, right? So I've got my lens. That's all I can really refer to but yeah, that's exactly what I would see. You guys are deep counts, deep at bats, bat on their tail off. Again, effort level there. The couple walks. Peralta's bat was epic. Jackson's bat was great. The bats were good. We just we weren't able to get the big swing.
Do you have any clarity on the next step for you, Darvish? Whether it be rehab, where it might be?
He's going to, I don't think this is a state secret. He's going to Arizona. he flew today, and he's going to pitch in a simulated, game, controlled game for 4 innings.
He definitely has a lens that he loves to view things from. That is a 100% certainty right there with this team.
I completely agree. I hear some of that, and I'm rolling my eyes. I'm still okay with that lens. 16 over.
Yeah,
it changes if all of a sudden 16 over is 9 over.
Right.
Because but I still can stomach it, so to speak, at 16 over. I could, when they were a game under 500, I fully believe I know this is going to happen. I'm like, really? And then to his credit, they've somehow gotten to this spot. But yeah, you hear some of that and you're just like, come on.
Yeah,
it's a bit much.
I'm not going to have strong opinions on it like I did earlier in the year when he was saying things when they were losing 5 games in a row, when it was like warranted, because Mike, come on, man. What's going on?
You're not being
here?
honest.
You're not being honest. Like, this is ridiculous. But at this point, like you said, it is cringe. It's but it's nothing to like get super upset about from my standpoint, because you are 16 over and you are in a pretty damn good spot compared to where you were a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you have played really good baseball, even though the last 14 games have been
back and forth. You know what scares me about?
Just move on.
Here's what scares me, honestly. Like, okay, 2 games, go to Tampa, win a series. Tomorrow is Martin Perez, Taj Bradley. Martin Perez has been great for the Padres.
The Taj Bradley, the Padres tried to trade for.
This is actually like a rare example of where like the Padres are in it. The team they're playing is kind of out of it. The Padres have been very good on the road. You could very well be an underdog tomorrow. Martin Perez had a very average year. Obviously, he's been better here. And Taj Bradley's really good. Sub-4 ERA all year long. One of the better pitchers, arguably, in the American League. Again, avoiding that 3-game losing streak. They haven't had it in the second half. Correct me if I'm wrong. They haven't lost 3 straight, have they?
No.
So, like, these are the things, because then you start going, your mind wanders. Oh, they've lost 5 straight 4 times this year.
Hey, but grit squad.
Right. So I am thinking about tomorrow. Like, that's a bit of a test, I would say. You're facing a good pitcher on the road and you've lost 2 straight games.
Because you're at the part of this stretch here where you have that off day circled. Like,
definitely.
You want to get to that off day badly. And these games are very important. You got to lock in. You got to make sure you don't lose this series, and that you get to that off day feeling good about yourself instead of the opposite, which is like, oh my gosh, we're now the 6th seed and we're only 2 up on the Mets. And now we got to like kick it back into gear.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to do that. You want to get to the off day feeling comfortable about the position you are in the wild card race, not having to worry about the potential of the Mets, and also being a little bit further away from the Braves, who are now on your tail. And that 6th seed is very much in play because you're only a game and a half up on them.
100%. You're right. All right. Call right now if you want those tickets to see Pink with Sheryl Crow and the Script, Wednesday, September 11th at Petco Park. Caller 5, you are going to see Pink. 877-767-4760. This will be September 11th. For tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com. Caller 5, you're going to see Pink with Sheryl Crow. Really good concert. 877-767-4760. As we kick off college football week 1, is it different this time around? We'll explain coming up next on Jon and Jim. All right, we have more giveaways for you, plus Jim's backstage coming up. We'll give away Dan and Shay tickets within the next 10 minutes. Be listening for your chance to win those tickets. We will react as well to the news out of the NFL that we talked about earlier. Brandon Ayuk, that deal is a 3 years, $120 million extension to the Niners. You do recall a year ago that the first 3 weeks of the college football season, the 3 highest rated games were the Colorado Buffaloes. Deion Sanders, I think they may have finished the season like 4 or 5 of the top 10 most watched games of the year. You would know. I mean, there were 10 million viewers like Colorado and TCU, and it just kept going into it. It was a game Colorado State. Zillions, millions of viewers. Is it different this time around or not? We're watching right now Colorado back underway. Now, San Diego State, Boulder's back. Slow that game. Travis Hunter's back. Shedeur Sanders back. Deion on the sidelines wearing blenders. Are they going to get the same national widespread appeal or not in year 2? That's a really good question. They have a deal. I don't know particulars of the deal. It's a really good question. Maybe. I don't know the answer. That's a great question. There's a sunglass that they have debuted or are debuting in the days. I want to say East Coast time or something else. I think it's called the BD Alpha London sunglasses. It's pretty cool because that's BD Alpha. Is it different? Yeah, is it different this time around? I think it's different from the standpoint of I don't know if there's that much expectation because last year they were like the new shiny and then they came out hot, beat TCU and started 3-0. They started 3-0. They beat TCU, Nebraska, Colorado State, and then they won it 12. I'm not. Did they finish 4-8 or 3-9?
They finished 4-8.
Okay, we can look it up, but yeah, I mean, I think you're. I think they start 3-0.
Okay. Anyway, I think if a big difference too is Travis Hunter being healthy. Finish. That's a huge thing for this team because last year he wasn't healthy, and that was down the stretch.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I wonder how long he's going to stay healthy though, playing both sides of the ball.
True.
He claims this year it's not going to be an issue, but you know, what do you expect him to say?
I know this is hard for Deion. Like maybe tone down the circus a little bit.
What?
I know. Because that might be the best thing. I don't know. I guarantee you it won't. Because if they win, it's only going to just ratchet up. That's the thing.
Well, so last year, to your point, they beat TCU, shocking, right? They beat Nebraska, okay. They beat Colorado State, great game, double overtime. Then they remember this game? They have this massive game with number 10 Oregon and Eugene. They lost 42-6.
They got killed, yeah.
So that kind of, now they won one time in the Pac-12.
Who'd they beat?
They beat Arizona State on the road.
That's right.
But here's the thing also. They were coming off a 1-win season. They went from 1 win to 4 wins. There was progress shown. They showed a ton of progress the first 3 weeks of the year. Do they kind of need to get to a bowl game for Deion's sake? Not to say he would go anywhere if they went something like 5-7, but like, does some of it rub off if you don't show improvement every year? If you're Deion Sanders with all that flash and sizzle, if you go 4-8, you follow it up with a 5-7 year, is that good enough?
Well, it will just continue the talk, and maybe that will get louder and louder of just like he's a fraud.
He's very polarizing. Right?
That might be a very harsh word to use.
No, but people say it. People love him or people hate him. Yeah. Right? You hear that a lot.
Yeah. And then what's going on in Colorado? Have you heard about this? Like the CBS reporters and the columnists
that aren't
allowed to ask questions?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's just like,
wait, what?
Huh?
Yeah.
But anyway, because he's not the guy's not a beat reporter. He's a columnist, so he gives his opinion. But still,
ask a question.
I don't know. It comes down to, you're going to win football games or not. All the other stuff, whatever. And it's, if they win, the circus will be crazier than ever. They lose, he will continue to be called a fraud, and he will get even more criticism, and things will be even more wacky, and he'll lash out at even more reporters. And after his son leaves this year and after Travis Hunter leaves maybe next year, who knows if he stays at Colorado?
I think it's going to be worse this year because they're on a big. Correct me if I'm right. They're on a Big 12 schedule this year, right? They're not.
It is a Big 12.
The schedule's not
Pac-12
good.
last year was really good. If you're
Yeah.
Oregon and Washington were, I mean, it was a very good league. I haven't looked at their schedule.
I'm looking at it right
Yeah.
now. I kind of feel like it's going to be similar to last year, to where they might win their first couple games and then let everyone jump on the hype train and blow it all out of proportion. And then once they get into the stretch where, they have to play Kansas State, at Arizona, Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Oklahoma State, then I think
that's a
it's going to
challenging
be
schedule.
It'll be just like last year, to where, oh God, look at Colorado, they're 5-0.
Right.
They could be a college football playoff contender.
Sure.
Well, I can tell you.
And then reality sunk in as like, oh yeah, this is the same team that won like 2 games last year.
Well, I can tell you this: if their defense doesn't get better, it's gonna be
forget
a
that's
problem.
the shiny object you wrote of Shador and Travis. They're great players. They really are. They're very good players. But we're watching. I mean, their season's underway. It's a marquee game. They're playing a great FCS program, one of the best ever.
Yes.
In North Dakota State. Nobody wants to play North Dakota State. It's very early, and guess what? North Dakota State's proving that they could be a big problem for the University of Colorado tonight, specifically their defense. So, yeah, I'm just wondering if it's going to be different. My guess is big ratings for this Thursday night game. Thursday night, no NFL. It's a pretty marquee game. I'm thinking big numbers.
You think Shador Sanders is going to be a top pick next year in the draft?
No.
I think
top 10.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Brent in not maybe the top pick.
Top 10.
But yeah, I think a quarterback that puts together nice gaudy numbers that's dual threat like him. Yeah, I think he could be definitely a first round pick. Yeah. I do. I do. All right, let's give away those Dan and Shay tickets right now to the first caller to 877-767-4760. Dan and Shay with Jake Owen, Dylan Marlowe, Friday, September 6th. That's next Friday, 8 days from now, at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. For tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com. First caller to 877-767-4760 is going to see Dan and Shay with Jake Owen and Dylan Marlowe Friday, September 6th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. 877-767-4760. Brandon Ayuk, there's resolution in the NFL with San Francisco. What does it mean for the Niners and the league? That is next. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by Caltrans. Padres Cardinals, final game of their 4-game series. Finished up earlier today. Padres lost the Cardinals 4-1. They ended up splitting the series with the Cardinals after taking the first 2 games. Disappointing end to that series. They move on to Tampa to take on the Rays starting tomorrow afternoon. Moving over to Aztec football, 2 days away from the kickoff of the 2024 football season and the kickoff of the Sean Lewis era and the John Schaefer era, calling games for the Aztecs. You can listen to that game starting at 5 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Our pregame cover starts at 3 p.m. NFL news of the day. Brandon Ayuk has re-signed with the 49ers, 4 years, $120 million, $76 million guaranteed. And the Sean Lewis Coaches Show with John and Rich and Coach Lewis is tonight, 6 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Attention California drivers, the kids of Caltrans workers count on you to keep their loved ones safe. So when you see a highway work zone, please slow down and pay attention. Remember that someone's loved one out there. Be work zone alert.
All right, Jon and Jim with you. We've got one more giveaway for you coming up within the next handful of minutes, and that giveaway is Train and REO Speedwagon for Tuesday, September 10th at the North Island Credit Union. If you're listening for that, we'll give it away in the next few minutes. Plus, Jim's back page coming up, Sean Lewis Show, as I'm telling you, coming up right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 6 p.m. So there's been actually a couple of massive NFL stories this week. CeeDee Lamb, huge story, gets done. Brandon Ayuk, massive story for the league, gets done. Dak Prescott talking today about a possible extension. He had some really interesting word choices like this. He says, I think it says a lot if it gets done or it doesn't get done before the season starts September 8th. He went on to say, but however, it doesn't really matter to me, to be honest with you. I actually thought that Prescott might prefer to wait it off. The money only goes up. You bet on yourself. Sure, you get hurt. Yeah. You're betting on yourself. There's no doubt. And the guarantee money for quarterbacks is crazy through the roof money. So maybe you just want it. But he's saying that if it doesn't get done by September 8th, I think it says a lot if it is or if it isn't done by then. I almost thought he might prefer not to get it done, but it sounds like from his perspective, he would take it to get done before the year.
So is he playing on his final year?
It's his final year.
Okay. Again, it would be one thing if he's holding out, but he's not.
He's not, no.
And I think it's only a big story because it's the Cowboys, whatever.
Yeah, this isn't Jacksonville. You're right.
It doesn't. And it's Dak. So it's going to be all over, first things
Huge
first
story,
and First Take and Colin and Dan Patrick.
Yep.
But I don't view it that way. I kind of just say, is he playing this year? Yeah. Okay. Who cares?
Right. The dollars are the dollars.
Like if he's going to play, then it's not, to me, at least, not a big story. It's a big story because it's the Cowboys.
Sure.
But if he wasn't playing, then it's a big story because if he's not playing for the Cowboys have no chance.
No shot.
I'm thinking maybe, for a change, someone's going to take a page out of Tom Brady's book and just be like, look, I don't need to be the highest paid player, just pay me, what I'm worth, but use that extra money to, go out and give me some running backs, give me some more wide receivers, get some stuff that's going to help us win games.
But it's also different now because the pay scale for these quarterbacks are only going up. So if you want a discount, it's still light years away from what Tom Brady got when he was.
Well, and he'll get yelled
true.
at for it because I remember the year. You remember when people actually thought Blake Bortles was going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Bortles took less money because he didn't think he deserved to be the highest paid quarterback, and people lost their minds because what are you doing? You're just throwing off the scale for the quarterbacks, and you're ruining it for future quarterbacks, and you should just take that money even though you don't deserve it. And maybe Dak's just like, well, I don't need it.
The interesting thing about Dak is that when you're the quarterback of the Cowboys, you have everything at your beck and call financially beyond your contract. You're going to end up on every national television ad as well. To Brent's point, you don't truly have to be the highest paid quarterback. But then again, when your star receiver is the number 2 paid receiver, and when Micah Parsons is going to be the number 1 paid defensive player, it's almost like you're taking a little bit of a discount they're going to be in trouble either way.
I was going to say, you don't want to
Yeah.
have the highest paid at every position.
And that's what
on
they're
your
going to
team,
be.
though.
That's the problem with the Cowboys. It's hard to probably round this thing out because Prescott, Lamb, Parsons is taking up a lot of the threshold.
And
salary
those are the three most important players on the team.
No doubt.
You're not going to win a Super Bowl if you don't have
no
either one of
chance.
those guys on your team. You
True.
need to have an elite pass rusher. You need to have an elite wide receiver. Well, unless you're the Chiefs. And
True.
you need to have an elite quarterback. I don't think Dak's an elite quarterback, but he's certainly really good to get them to the postseason.
Mhm.
Problem is he just always crumbles in the postseason at every turn. Like he just doesn't get it done.
Yeah, and no, there's no doubt. I think honestly, of these three stories we followed, Lamb, Prescott, Ayuk, the biggest one is Ayuk. Why? The Niners have already proven they can win at a high level with him. The Cowboys have not proven they can win at a high level with those other two players.
Yeah.
There's glitz and glamour. They're very good. They'll win at a good clip in the regular season. With Brandon Ayuk, I'm not saying that the Niners fall out of bed in the Super Bowl, but you can see it. It's conceivable. We've watched it play out.
I still am scared of that Super Bowl hangover.
No doubt. Yep.
Because it's a real thing. And they, by the way, Brandon Ayuk, very important to that team. Guess who's more important? Trent Williams.
Right. Yeah. Good.
And
point.
he's not in camp yet. He is an official holdout. He is waiting for another contract.
Right.
You don't have Trent Williams. That's a bigger problem than if you didn't have Brandon Ayuk, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the NFC, you got the Niners, you got the Lions. I think you got the Cowboys, Eagles in there. Go right ahead. Packers. I'm interested to see how Caleb looks and the Bears because they've loaded up on the offensive side to give him as much help as possible and weapons. And I think the Rams are another team to watch out for as well with a healthy Stafford and Kupp and Puka and Kyren Williams.
Would you say it's more like
they lost Donald? It's pretty big.
That's kind of a big loss. The best defensive player in the history of the league.
Right.
Would you say it's more like the National League in baseball with 6 really good teams? And I could make an argument for the Phillies. I could make an argument for the Dodgers, D-backs, Padres. As in, it's not really top heavy. There's like parity among the best, or is there a clear front runner in the NFC? It doesn't feel like there's a clear front runner in the National League
right now.
National League, but
baseball.
in baseball, I don't say clear front runner in the National League. Do you say clear front runner in the NFC?
I would say no. And if you want to say 49ers, okay, but
I don't know if it's clear. I think it's maybe clear by a bit.
I don't think it's clear. I really don't. I think if the Lions can stay healthy, and again, if every team can stay healthy,
Yeah, exactly.
I think with the Eagles, the addition of Saquon, their offense is still going to be pretty damn good.
Mhm.
Now they did lose some big pieces, right?
Yeah, they
Fletcher
finished
Cox
horrifically.
and Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like a make or break year for their head coach.
Absolutely.
So I don't think it's team A and then everybody else. I think it's like you said, I think there's the
Kind of
teams
5 or 6.
the teams that I named off, 5 or
Yeah.
6. And I'd be shocked if one of the 5 or 6 that I named off doesn't make the Super Bowl.
Right. And it almost, to me, like if someone told me the Philadelphia Eagles were in the Super Bowl, I wouldn't be like, wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah,
No, they were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and they started like 11-1 or 11-2. And if someone told me San Francisco, I wouldn't say unbelievable. And then the Cowboys might be somewhat unbelievable because of Jerry Jones. And it's been
They never
30 years.
They haven't been to an NFC title game in
30 years. Yeah. So that maybe would be unbelievable. What
about
Detroit? Wouldn't be unbelievable, I don't think, if they made the
What about
Super Bowl.
What about the AFC?
That to me is has to be Chiefs on a pedestal until I'm
Really?
proven it has to be.
Okay.
Don't you think?
They just have that
Aura.
Not the aura. It's that mental. Everyone you play the Chiefs, you're just like,
Yeah, you're behind because
like
you're
playing
playing
Michael
the Chiefs.
Jordan. You're
Yeah,
like the intimidation factor.
Yeah.
Or like back when Tiger was going running through golf. It's
Yes.
like Tiger had a lead on Sunday. You're not beating Tiger. Like it's just how it
Yes.
works. I do think the Chiefs have deficiencies like with their wide receivers, but it didn't hurt in the last 2
Overcame them
years.
last year, yeah.
It's last 2 years they won the
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
I think the Chiefs and their wide receivers, it's kind of similar to what it always is in Green Bay, to where they might only have kind of okay wide receivers, but Favre and Rodgers elevated them and made them better than what they were. And I think it's the same thing with Mahomes. I think
Kelsey too.
Well, yeah, he still has Kelsey, and that kid
Checo.
that set the record for
She Rice.
the dude that set the combine record.
Watkins.
The fastest guy ever. I think that's going to be the new Tyreek Hill. We'll see if teams remember, hey, let's just leave a safety back so he can't just chuck the ball 80 yards down the field and hope he catches
To your
it.
point, too, I mean, Mahomes is so good. He's such a cut above that he can make other players that may theoretically be average a lot better than average just because of his play.
Still in the AFC, I don't think the Chiefs are head and shoulders above everyone else. I think they're considered the best team because they got Mahomes, but I don't think they're like
Maybe not
lock.
head. No, not a lot.
Who's the second best team then?
I would say right now, either the Ravens.
We'll see that in a week.
Right. Or
Ravens or Bills?
No,
Bills that have taken like a step back. They're the front runner.
They are.
As opposed, they're the clear front runner. Not a lock.
Okay, maybe it is between just.
It just feels like they'll just
Chiefs,
stumble
Ravens.
into the AFC Championship game, and then we have to watch
if the Bengals
it.
get back Jamar Chase, I'd put the Bengals in there as well because they actually have beaten Mahomes in the postseason.
They're going to be in the AFC title game. Will someone beat them?
And this whole thing about the Chargers and Harbaugh.
No, they're not. Not this year.
Stop it.
At some point, maybe, but not this year. At some point,
if this year, then okay, but
not this year.
That's a team where we can talk about. Oh, Patrick Mahomes does have anyone to throw. Oh, neither does Justin Herbert. The only difference is Mahomes is a multiple-time MVP to where he can elevate those guys. Herbert, not so much.
All right, call right now if you want tickets to see Train with REO Speedwagon. First caller to 877-767-4760 is going to see Train with REO Speedwagon Tuesday, September 10th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. For tickets and information, go to Ticketmaster.com. First caller to 877-767-4760 is going to see Train with REO Speedwagon. We have Jim's back page on the other side. Stay with us. All right, final time on Jon and Jim, but don't go anywhere. The Sean Lewis Show with Sean Lewis and me and Rich coming up at 6 p.m. top of the hour.
The Sean Lewis Show with someone
Sean
else.
Lewis. Well, there's a lot of this kind of behind the scenes. Remember when I took people behind the curtain the other night on YouTube?
You didn't,
Brent. Is it common knowledge on YouTube that if you have 100,000 subscribers, you get a silver play button? You know what I'm talking about? Oh, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, most people make a video to show everybody and to thank
like if you have like a Star Wars channel or and
John didn't think that was common.
Well, I
knowledge.
told our viewers, I'm
common.
like, hey, we have 7,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's a little far off from 100K.
Yeah, that's not inside baseball. Everyone knows that.
I know. I found that out, and Jim made fun of me.
Yeah, you're an idiot. You don't know YouTube.
I don't even know what I was talking about. Why'd that come up?
We're talking about Sean Lewis behind the
inside
curtains?
baseball is sometimes in what we call imaging in radio. When you hear big voice guy, they'll be like, brought to you by Pepsi. And then they say Pepsi again, like Pepsi. Enjoy the Pepsi. Because the Sean Lewis Show with Sean Lewis. Like Pepsi. Anyway, let's get to this.
What? Okay, I love nothing bundt cakes, by the way.
Oh, yeah, they're awesome.
I don't think I need to say by the way, but I love nothing bundt cakes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it nothing but bundt cakes?
Yes.
No, it's nothing bundt cakes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Nothing bundt cakes. Just unveiled their fall bundt cakes. And oh my God.
Let me guess, pumpkin something.
Well, of course, pumpkin spice.
Spoiler alert. Sorry.
Yeah. Pumpkin spice bundt cake.
Okay.
Caramel apple cider bundt cake.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Yep.
Chocolate toffee crunch bundt cake.
Okay.
And then Oreo dirt cake with gummy worms on top and flakes of Oreo cookies.
Dude, I got to bring 5-year-old Jones over there.
Jones will
lose his mind,
dude.
Yeah, most people would too. Yeah. They're older than 5.
The pumpkin spice will be debuting on September 2nd. The caramel apple cider will be debuting on September 16th. The chocolate toffee crunch will be debuting on October 7th. And the Oreo dirt cake will be debuting on October 28th.
Wow. Big fall.
Big fall
That's
ahead,
a really
everybody.
big fall.
Big fall ahead. Capri Sun, John.
Mm-hmm.
When you were a kid.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah, you throwing that straw in there. Boom.
Capri Sun is now unveiling new Capri Suns for, quote, adults that will be sold upcoming soon in 12-ounce bottles.
For adults with alcohol?
No, just
bottles of Capri Sun. I kind of like that.
New bottles are coming soon. The tagline is no straw poking required.
But that's the fun
That's
of
the
it.
whole
It's kind of part of it.
I know.
Isn't the knock on Capri Sun, correct me if I'm wrong, the straw. There got to be a lot of sugar in those things, right?
Yeah. There's not, I don't think there's any juice in
Yeah.
Capri Sun. It's mostly sugar and water.
Yeah.
And
Which is
parents
all
now
right.
are kind of like, hey, it's a lot of sugar. But for adults, okay, yeah. High sugar drink, all right. I get on board.
I mean,
do you want that? Like with so many choices in your drink, and there's so many drinks. Are you like, man, if I could just grab a Capri Sun right now?
well, the thing is, all the drinks are going to bottles. Like all
True.
the highest selling drinks right now, Gatorade, Prime's up there. Like they're all in just the bottle form, and they're all copying that to make sure that their drinks are now in bottles instead of those little packets
Or those tall cans.
I
remember when I went
energy
to
drink.
Viejas for AEW last year or 2 years ago, I ordered a combo hot dog water thing, thinking I'm gonna get a bottle of water.
Oh, you got the skinny
and
metal
he,
bottle.
and he handed me one of those
Yep.
liquid death skinny cans,
Yeah.
and I almost was like, no, dude, I wanted water, and then it looks like, oh, it is water. It's just in a can.
The other day when they at Dodger Stadium gave away the Shohei Ohtani bobblehead.
Yeah, yesterday
with his dog decoy, and I will say, having his dog decoy on the mound to throw out the first pitch.
Stop, Jim.
It's a dog. I can't hate on a dog.
Yeah, I know. You've been hating on Ohtani.
I'm not hating on a dog.
No, it's not about hating on a dog, but people are waiting outside for 10 hours for this thing, and they're going on eBay for $5,000. That's ridiculous.
That's my story.
Oh,
yeah. Some asking prices on eBay are going for as high as $18,000.
for a giveaway.
Of the 30 gold Otani and decoy bobbleheads that have sold, 29 have hit over $1,000, with the top sale coming in at $2,500 for a bobblehead.
That is insanity. By the way, is this a national ad for blenders?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
John.
Okay.
You know, they're playing. So,
okay.
A single lot of 3 bobbleheads also sold for $400. Oh man. Why
doesn't that bother you?
What do you mean?
That bothers me a lot. And I'll explain as to why. A, people are taking it, basically, it's a giveaway, and you're trying to, people are going there and just eating up tickets to go get 12 bobbleheads and then go sell them on eBay. I got a problem with that. You're taking away from actual fans. And then B, here's the other problem I have with it, is that the Dodgers, with all those resources and revenues, they could have just done a bobblehead for everyone because the interest was that high. It's not like they were just giving away some random item. I get it if it's a random item. But they sold 53,000 tickets for the game. They had 40,000 bobbleheads. They could have done 53,000 bobbleheads. It's the LA Dodgers.
It just creates chaos.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when you do a giveaway, you got to make sure that everybody that goes to the ballpark gets a giveaway.
No, certain giveaways, I would say. Like,
I think all giveaways, truthfully, because what you're doing is you're creating a little, like, depending on what the giveaway is, you're kind of creating chaos.
Maybe, yes. Yes, for the premiums.
Yesterday was absolute chaos in LA. It's already chaos to begin with.
Yeah.
But then you add on this stupid bobblehead
that
everybody wants.
Yes.
And it's
insanity
for hours and hours
you
and
see
hours.
The people leaving with all these bobbleheads.
It's ridiculous.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
If you sell 53,000 tickets or 53,420 tickets, you better at least have 60,000 bobbleheads.
Yeah, but there's going to be some broken, or some people are getting 2, or some gets lost.
Come on, you're the Dodgers. You're not cheap.
That's what I'm saying. It's the Dodgers. It's like your sponsor's probably spending like a couple million
Give me a break.
on that promotion.
Yeah.
John, would you spend $8,000 for that panda bobblehead?
No. But is it online for that? But
No,
I
I'm
was
just
glad that
saying.
Rich McGuire gave it to me. But yeah, it's a great point. Like a panda bobblehead, and I got to go spend $1,000 to get it.
Speaking of that, you probably don't go over that far, but did you see the giant panda billboard on the 8 right
Yeah,
before
with
you
the
get to
ears?
15? Yeah, it was like
Yeah,
a take
of course
on like
he
the
did.
Mickey
Yeah,
Mouse
it's
thing
awesome.
with the ears. I
Yeah,
thought it was kind of
it's
funny,
awesome.
Any panda anywhere, John will notice it.
Absolutely. I still have to see them.
unless it's Panda Express.
True.
That's right. You can eat Panda Express, though. They got
You
like
can,
veggies and stuff.
It's funny. We end up eating outside of a Panda Express every weekend. I do with my son. He does like some like gym activity, and then we sit at Panda Express. We don't eat Panda Express, but we sit outside of it. We've done it for like a year and a half. I know it's not.
No, Jones, we don't have to eat it. It's just as good to stand out here and smell the food.
He eats like a PB&J outside Panda Express.
Don't they have tofu there?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
Honestly, I hadn't thought about that. I'll go in and get that. Seriously, I hadn't thought about that. If they do, I'll
get the cream cheese wontons, bro.
Orange chicken is like incredible, right?
Oh, it's amazing.
I was getting mushroom chicken.
Incredible. Yeah. I'm on board.
They have veggie options.
Yeah, definitely. Sure. No, I know. I need to hit it up. I was a fan at one point, but I haven't thought about it in a while.
Get the cream cheese ragoons.
You love them,
baby. So good.
All right, do not go anywhere, because on the other side of a break, Sean Lewis, the Sean Lewis Show, head coach of the Aztecs, 2 days out. In fact, 47 hours from kickoff at 5 p.m. on Saturday from Snapdragon Stadium. Of course, a game you can hear right here on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. Myself and Rich Orenberger with the new head coach of the Aztecs. I say new because his first game as head coach on Saturday. He actually was hired over 270 days ago. So the Sean Lewis Show is coming up on the other side. If you missed anything today, including our conversation with JD Wicker, check it out at sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes or TuneIn Radio or Spotify. You can find us, of course, on social media as well. At Jon and Jim, JONANDJIM. Back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Getting you ready for Rays and Padres. For Brent and Jim, I'm Jon. The Sean Lewis Show is next right here on San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, bye.